Where it stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It is Friday, right? I don't even know anymore. I think it's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Sorry we were a little bit late. We were trying to find the clips from the news people being out at the scene, but I could only find one. So I thought that was kind of weird. So we were going through that, and then I was just loading everything up. So thank you guys for being here. We are covering the state of Massachusetts versus Karen Reed in her retrial. And today is the jury view of the Carr and 34 Fairview, and then we get a witness on the stand. So that is where we are. Hi, Sleuthie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Look, I'm all loud. She's all, good morning. Look at me. I'm calm as can be.
I've been cooking all day.
Yeah. She gets on. I've already made this. I've done this. I've made this. And I'm like, what? I literally rolled out of bed. What are you talking about?
Well, I have 3 hours on you, so.
Yeah, shit. But if we were not here, I'd want to sleep until that time.
Yeah.
What's you cooking, Goose? What you cooking?
Well, there's a pie. Right now I'm making stuff to be able to make steak burritos, but I made a pie and that's in the freezer. See, my kid, when he's home, he eats nonstop, and like in between food, like he'll be like, Mom, I'm hungry. And I'm like, okay, I'll cook you whatever. And he'll be like, okay, but can I have something like while it's cooking? I'll be like, it'll only take 10 minutes to cook. And he's like, yeah, but I'm hungry right now. So the more food that I have already prepared, the better, because he's impatient.
Yeah, that's mine. Growing boys.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of pie?
It's a chocolate peanut butter pie.
What the fuck are you? Damn it, Arnhem. Why did you ask that? Now I want it.
I don't even like chocolate. Like, I don't like chocolate cake or chocolate cupcakes, or I do like brownies, but I don't typically like stuff like that, but it's good.
I love brownies. Oh my God. Brownies are so good. I fucking love chocolate. You know what I don't like? I don't like cake.
I like vanilla cake. I do not like the icing that has like all the sugar in it. I like the whipped icing.
I definitely don't like all the yucky, the hard icing. Yuck. No, but my husband and his family have a family recipe for a chocolate cake, and it's probably the only cake I'll eat. I don't like cupcakes. I think they're disgusting. I don't know how anybody could.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. Yuck. DV. You don't like cake either, Fiend? Yeah, I don't like cake. I think it's gross. I think icing is gross.
I especially don't like. I like how they look when they do all like the fondant and stuff, but that shit is nasty.
Well, I can eat a cake if it's got like the cream cheese filling. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that's yummy.
I can handle it, but I typically just eat the cream cheese filling.
Yeah.
Oh.
Lacey said all this cake hate is too much for a Friday.
Oh, look at me. He doesn't like cookies either.
Sometimes I get like a craving for chocolate or peanut butter, like something sweet. So I was like, maybe I'll just
chocolate and peanut butter every day, all day. Like Reese's Easter eggs, dude. This is like my favorite time of year because Reese's Easter eggs are out, and that's the best fucking chocolate to peanut butter ratio of anything in the world.
They taste different. They taste way different than the regular Reese's.
All the Reese's
So
taste
much
different
better.
because the ratio is off. So you have to find the right chocolate to peanut butter ratio, and the Easter egg has the best ratio of peanut butter to chocolate.
Have you ever heard of the PB2, like the powder?
Oh yeah. Hi,
So they have
Jax.
they have a peanut butter one, and then they have like a peanut butter and chocolate one.
Okay.
And that's the one that I used. And I'm not like a huge fan of the peanut butter one. Like if I'm mixing it together to put it on like an apple or something, I don't really like it. But baking wise, the shit is good. So the pie, I use the PB2 with chocolate and a little bit of whipped cream cheese and like a tub and a half of Cool Whip.
Oh,
And then I licked my
I
spatula.
knew I loved you before, but now like it's like orgasmic right now.
Yeah, it's really
It's
good.
so good. I'm just like, oh wow. How do you live so far away?
I can't make a lot of things, but some things I make really good.
Dude, see, I make really good brownies.
Yeah, like the few things I know how to make, I make really good.
Wait a minute, Gray Space.
Peanut butter.
What do you mean you don't like peanut butter?
Oh yeah, you should always refrigerate your Reese's. Or not refrigerate, freeze them. I don't put them in the fridge. I put them in the
No,
freezer.
you know what? Where's Luke at? You know what's good frozen is a Snickers.
Yeah, but they can get hard to bite.
Oh, they're so no, it's because then you just get like little shavings of it, and it lasts so long.
Yeah, I even freeze like
Yeah.
Hershey Kisses.
Chris is just like, I mean, I don't like peanut butter. My life would be much easier if I did, to be honest. Have you tried all the peanut butters? Because let me just tell you, like Jif and Skippy, not the same thing.
Yeah, a brand. I'm not like a brand snob, but some
I am.
things just like have to be brand. Like my Dove soap. Like I can't use the knockoff Dove soap because it absolutely does not smell the same.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. There's like certain things that have to be like brand name, and certain things that have to be a specific brand, and peanut butter is one of them.
My kid, dude, he loves Uncrustables, the grape ones.
That's what we have here too.
So I was like, this is outrageous. I could just make these. I got a like cutting thing. Actually, I think that was off of Temu, which was amazing because it's got to be the exact thing. I mean, they look exactly like Uncrustables. So I make it. Well, I use like the Walmart brand grape jelly. He don't like it. He didn't like it.
No, yeah, of course not.
I'm like, okay, so
Yeah, no, you can't use that. You got to go. You have to have like the Smuckers.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I went and got the Smuckers, and he comes back from school. He didn't like it. I said, dude, it's the same exact thing. Well, it doesn't taste the same. I'm like, well, that's impossible because it's literally the same thing.
I think that's what we have as Welch's.
Because like it doesn't taste the same. And then I thought, okay, so then maybe Smuckers, who makes the Uncrustables, ain't using Smuckers jelly.
They probably aren't.
Yeah, if it's not tasting the same. And literally, I just, in our recent power outage, I threw away basically an entire jar of jelly.
Oh, that sucks. Hold on. What's going on between you and DB? Drop a 1 if you're ready for the long-anticipated DB versus Moth hand-to-hand Mortal Kombat death match. DB's weakness. Left leg, quarter inch shorter than his right. His bird flu. Moth weakness, Moody and Tootie. When is this death match going down? I'm ready. Oh, fuck. I do love pepperoni, bacon, and sausage pizza. That shit's so good. Okay. I'm obviously hungry, and people who have just come in are like, what the hell is going on here?
I'm never hungry. Like when I first wake up, my kids the same way. Like when we wake up, I do not want to eat. I do want to drink, but I do not want to eat for a little while.
Dude, it was 8 a.m. and I cracked a fucking Dr. Pepper. I'm like, I got the last 2 days, I'm like, I'm going hard or going home, man.
Yeah, I do have to drink, but like eating, not for a while. So like I'm making all these things and they're not bothering me because I'm not really that hungry. But now it's 11:30 and I'm getting a little hungry. But the pie has to freeze for 8 hours, so it's safe for now.
DB says, R&M, okay, that's a lie. My legs are adequately symmetrical. Sorry I said something about you not having something that you bake. I'm sure you bake a lot of things well. Do you think he's forgetting to put gas in his Nissan sedan? So we have to reschedule. Oh shit. Right. We'll get on it. Indiana Girl says, criminality, do you think that Brennan is waiting for solo cups and snow blowers and the picture of no grass, or will he try to avoid it altogether? I think he's trying to avoid it altogether, and if he does bring it up, it's going to be as quick as possible for Brennan.
So let's think about it. He doesn't necessarily need, like, the only search that actually accumulated really much of anything that matters to him is the one with the taillights.
Yeah.
So if he could avoid it, I bet he would. The only thing with that, though, is that I feel like the drinking glass, like he's going to have to because of the drinking glass. Because he's going to try to say it's, but then again, the drinking glass does not match the glass on her bumper. So I would almost just be like, forget it. Because I'd rather them not know about it than know it doesn't match, you know?
Yeah, I think he's going to try to avoid it at all costs anyway.
Paul in blue again.
I think he owns a lot of blue. I mean, in fairness, he probably bought a lot last year, and so this is what he has for trial. Hear ye, hear ye. Okay. What happened? I thought I got it to the right spot. Apparently not.
Good morning again, counsel. Good morning again, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. Good morning. When we leave you out there, we're very much aware that we're leaving you in another room waiting, but we were working this morning to help streamline things, and we were.
Why do I not have that? Where's that at?
I do have to ask you those questions.
I didn't see I'm working to streamline any of it.
Instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left yesterday. Yes. Everyone nodded. Affirmative said yes. Were you also able to follow? And counsel, good morning again, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors.
Oh, wait, what the fuck?
When we leave you out there, we're very much aware that we're leaving you in another room waiting, but we were working. Good morning.
For the record, before the court is Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, 22 CR 117. The parties are present. The jury is not present. The matter is on for trial.
Thank you. So good morning. I heard the counsel wanted to see me about something.
Yes, please.
All right, why don't you come on over to sidebar?
Oh, like rewound it so that they could go to sidebar.
Like, what were you all doing? You like, first of all, the jury's not even in the room. So why do you need a sidebar?
Exactly.
It's like, I've never seen someone complain so much about the jury's time being wasted while simultaneously wasting all of the jury's time.
Did any of you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? No.
Fiend, that will never happen.
All right,
folks,
folks, as you know, this morning we are going on a view. And a view is simply, we're going to a place that you've heard about. and that you will continue to hear about during the course of the trial. The purpose of the view is to help you better understand the evidence, which you'll hear during the course of the trial, and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings. So the view that we're going on is part of the case, and it means that the observations that you make there can be used and considered by you in your deliberations on this case in reaching a verdict. So we're going to, you've heard 34 Fairview Road in Canton. The lawyers and I will accompany you. For the Commonwealth, we'll be accompanied by Attorney Brennan, and ADA Lally, ADA Schillinger, and for the defense, Attorney Yannetti and Attorney Little. The lawyers will have the opportunity, Mr. Yannetti and Mr. Brennan, have the opportunity to point out various things that they may want you to direct your attention to. Otherwise, there's no conversation between the lawyers and the jurors. So it's simply in a few minutes, you'll hear a little bit from each Mr. Brennan and Mr. Yannetti about what they want you to look at. And then when we get there, they'll direct you, look in this direction. They won't be able to testify to you, but they'll direct you on what they want you to look at. While you're in the view, you're not to take any notes, you're not to take any pictures, you're not to conduct any.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm told that, I guess, Law and Crime has some type of view where you can directly view like Karen and the lawyers. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, it's like a split screen. You can literally see them and then the witness.
Let's look.
I mean, for this, it doesn't matter, but I just thought you might be interested. I've not seen them do that yet, and I don't know why everyone wouldn't be doing it.
Oh, here it is. Let me pause it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh, it doesn't look great though, her side, but
yeah, I don't know if I would even.
Well, you either look at them and the people behind them. Well, it's there if you want it. If you get tired of looking at Paul in the background.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, I do think it's weird they have a shot, like they have the thing right on them, but not on Brennan's table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Right on
There
Karen.
technically should be 3 then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually don't know if I like the split, but I mean, it's a better look for her face.
Yeah. No, I already know it's probably not great. So.
Independent investigation at all during the view or any time during the trial. You're not to return to this scene or ask anybody to go back there for you. Today's your chance. You'll see photographs during the course of the trial, I bet, but today's your chance to really look at everything. So the best way to summarize a view is that your job is to simply stop and look. It's really no more complicated than that. So your responsibility is to see the place, observe it carefully, and to remember what you see. Now, during the trip to and from the view, and while at the view, you're not to discuss this case or anything about it with other jurors. We'll be accompanied by court officers who will direct you, and the court officers are there for all of us. So you'll be under their supervision until you're returned back here. So that's basically it. We'll be leaving in a few minutes, but first, before Madam Clerk swears the court officers in, Mr. Brennan, do you want to make a view opening?
May I?
Please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As Her Honor explained to you, we're going to go to 34 Fairview Road. We have some exhibits that are already in evidence. You haven't had a long time to look at them, study them. But essentially, we're going to go to 34 Fairview Road. I ask you just to pay attention to the street.
I ask you to speak the fuck up.
And you'll see to the left side of the front yard in the corner, there'll be a car. It's the Lexus that we've spoken about, the defendant's Lexus. And you'll also see a flagpole and a fire hydrant. And so I'd ask you to take a look from different vantage points. Take a look from that area where the flagpole is, from where the fire hydrant is. And you'll see on the street before the grass is a little firm concrete thing I'd suggest is April 25th, 2025, not January 22nd, 2022. So the weather will be very different. The temperature will be different. The conditions will be different. We're going to go there probably at 10 o'clock. It won't be the same visibility. It won't be the same elements of the same weather. So keep that in mind when you're looking around. When you look at the Lexus, a couple things I'd ask you to look at. There is some evidence already in of photographs of the right rear tail light. When you look at that tail light, it will be different than the photograph. There is an evidence. It has been removed.
Essentially, we're going to take you to the scene. We're going to show you the vehicle, and nothing you fucking see is going to be the same as it was that day. That's what Brennan's telling the jury. Except for we'll be outside 34 Fairview. Other than that, nothing's going to look the same. Taillight's not the same. Conditions aren't the same. Nothing's the same.
So it will appear differently, and you'll later get testimony explaining that process.
I was probably screaming, sorry.
Also, I'd ask you to make a note on the Lexus about the height of the bumper. I'd ask you to make note of the height of the right rear tail light. And I'd also ask you to take note of, on the top of the hatchback, there is a part that protrudes. I'd ask you to look at that as well. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Ms. Tianetti?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. As I told you at the start of the trial, my name is David Iannetti. I have an office in Boston and in Dedham. And on behalf of my co-counsel, we will be accompanying you on the view that you will take today. Although the view is not evidence, I suggest to you that you will find it to be helpful, important, even necessary as you later do your investigation of this case within the four walls of this courtroom. You've already received in evidence, some photos and videos, but there is no substitute for your own two eyes. As we all know, photos and videos sometimes can be misleading in terms of relative distances, depending upon the perspective from which the photo is taken. But your eyes are the best computer that you could bring to the view. When we get to 34 Fairview, we will be pointing out certain things that we'd like you to observe. The house, the second floor window to that house, the three front doors in the front of the house, the driveway, the street, the front lawn, and the flagpole. And we'll be asking you specifically to consider the distance between that second floor front window and the front lawn. The distance between the front doors to the house and that front lawn. The distance between the driveway to the front lawn. And we'll be asking you to take a good look at that Lexus. To stand next to it. To size it up, to take it in. You were all selected as jurors because the parties entrusted that you would do a proper investigation of this case within this courtroom. On behalf of Ms. Reed, we have every confidence that you will do a proper investigation.
All right, jurors, I have to make something very clear.
Whatever Yannetti said, just disregard it because what the attorneys say is not evident. Just remember that. I have no idea if that's what she's going to say, but it wouldn't surprise me.
So the purpose of this view is to help you better to understand the evidence that you'll hear during the trial and to help you appreciate the location and its surroundings. The view you'll take is part of this case. The observations that you make while on the view may be used and considered by you in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. So at the end of the trial, when I explain to you what is evidence and what is not, I'll remind you that your observations on this view can be used by you in your deliberations. Also, while you're in the view, the same way you're not to take any notes or photographs, you're not to conduct any investigation on this case. You really are simply to stop and look. Okay. Those
Yanetti's like, you guys will be able to investigate this case better than the Commonwealth. And Bev's like, you are not to do any investigations.
are the instructions. We will see you in a few minutes. All right. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Madam Clerk has to swear in the court officers.
If you could all raise your right hand, please. Do each of you solemnly swear that you will take the jury upon the premises in question and there suffer them to view the same or any property, place, or thing bearing upon the issue in the trial as the parties may think necessary? That you will not permit the parties to enter into a debate in the hearing of the jury, nor any person to speak to them unless it be the attorneys of record, then only to point out such places or things as they may deem expedient for the determination of the issues. That you'll keep the jury together until they shall return to court, unless the court shall otherwise order, so help you God. Thank you.
All right. Thank
All
you.
rise, please. Jurors, follow me.
Okay. So this is the only one I can find, and I don't know. Well, now it's fucking gone. Of course it is. Where'd it go? You gotta be kidding me. Where the hell did it go? This is why I normally just save this shit and send it to myself. You gotta be kidding me. Where the fuck did it go? Did they like take it off of here?
They might have. Who was it?
Was it like a WCYB kind of thing?
Oh, it wasn't like a reporter. It was the.
It was the reporter who was.
Is it Kyra or Kyla something or other?
No, it was a dude. But it was like literally a short ass clip of them being out there.
And it definitely wasn't the one from last year.
No, it wasn't. Because it was today's, and they were putting the truck down. The hours ago, this is Good Morning from Fairview Road in Canton. The jury and the Karen Reed will be coming here on a field trip. We are 100 yards away as ordered by the court. Canton police are near the former Brian Albert home, waiting on the bus. Jurors gathering in Dedham at the courthouse first. So this is how they have it set up. That's interesting. Okay, so just those two pics. This was not what I was talking about, though. Here, no, let me see. Nope, this wasn't it either, but.
Well, it's just a little bit of distance. Well, it's just a little bit of distance.
No, it was like a little video clip. This might be it.
This is now being loaded back onto a tow truck to take it away. It was parked here in front of the house at 34 Fairview Road just a short time ago where jurors were able to see it. This time, compared to the first trial last year, it was at a different location. Last year, it was parked up closer to the end of the driveway. This time, the Lexus was parked near here, the flagpole, where John O'Keefe's body was found.
So they're done?
Well, yeah, because they're already back in court with testimony now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why I wasn't too concerned about kind of just hanging out talking about pie. I just thought there was a better clip than that. I mean, we've seen this one's last year's. This is last year. I think so too. Let me see. Yep. This one's last year's. Let's see if there's anything else out there. I mean, there's just not. I couldn't find a ton on today's visit, which I thought was kind of weird. There's definitely less people. Like, I should say invested, because I don't think there's less invested. There's less invested in being there. Like they've seen this all before, so they don't need to be there for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's all I could find. If you guys have a different clip from there that's longer, better, let me know. So yeah, we're back in court with what's his name, Fowler, on the stand. And apparently Lolly's doing it. We get Lolly back. They were kind enough to use the tow truck comment.
They're letting Lally do something.
Yep.
Well, prepare to be bored right back to sleep, Teresa. I know it was hard for you to get up in the first place. I'm shocked he's even allowed to do anything. I thought he would remain a potted plant for the rest of the trial.
I am. I'm surprised too. Yeah, he gets to talk to Fowler.
Well, then they can just pretty much well assume that the jury's going to get lost.
What, if anything, have you ever done to show just anything that you could have done?
Oh my God. I thought we weren't going to have this.
Yeah, let's see if he's learned, if he had to go to training.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. They didn't even let the man introduce himself.
No.
Brendan had to introduce him.
Nobody even knows who this guy is.
Oh my God, no.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
This poor man is still traumatized from the last time she had to cut the air off so we could hear him. He was
right.
Good morning, doctor.
Lolly
Good
wouldn't
morning.
speak up.
Good morning.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spelling your last name for the court?
My name is Dr. Gary Fowler, F as in Frank, A-L-L-E-R.
see
And
now
what
he's
is your
eating the
occupation?
mic.
I am a physician pathologist.
And where do you
You're not going to hear every fucking breath he takes.
Yeah, he's like eating it now because he remembered his last time.
He's like, I don't want the air off. I don't want the air off.
work?
I work currently at Signature Healthcare in Brockton.
And how long have you worked at Signature and in what capacity, sir?
Signature, I started, it's probably 6 months. I took a new job 6 months ago. I've been, I am the chief of pathology and the laboratory medical director at Signature.
And where did you work prior to your work at Signature about 6 months ago?
Prior to that, I was at Good Samaritan Medical Center in the same capacity.
And how long did you work at Good Samaritan for?
Since 2015, late 2015.
And did you work in any capacity similar to that prior to working at Good Samaritan?
Prior to Good Samaritan, I worked at the Kearney Hospital, which is in Dorchester. Started that job in 1996. So I stayed on staff at Kearney Hospital up until actually closed 6 months ago. So I've been on staff at Kearney's for quite a long time.
Where did you go to school and what degrees did you receive?
I went to college at Tufts University in Medford, graduated in 87. From there, I went to Tufts Medical School and graduated in 1991.
And following your graduation, where did you go from there?
After medical school, I did a residency at Tufts Medical Center in 1991 to 1996.
And then where did you go following your residency?
and right from residency, my first job was at Kearney Hospital, which I previously mentioned. So
He needs to be like on 5 times speed. It's just so bad. True crime fan. I feel like with the Karen Reed trial, your name takes on like a whole new meaning. I'm just gonna say that. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh shit, there's the fan from the courtroom. I was like, wait a minute, that's not a fan from the courtroom. That's a true crime fan. Lolly's been working with a voice coach and practicing in front of the mirror. He's like, I know how to speak loud so that the judge does not turn off the air conditioner while I question this witness.
This is Lally's trial run that Brennan
Yeah.
gave him. And if she says one time for one of these, either him or Lally, to raise their voices, he'll be banned to the corner once again.
Even though we can never fucking hear, I can hear Lolly fine. I can never, ever hear Brennan. He's the one who actually has the voice problem.
The AC threats. At least it's still spring.
Doctor, are you
That's true.
board certified?
I am board certified in anatomic pathology and clinical pathology.
And what is a board certification?
Board certification is something we need to show that we are actually qualified to perform the job that we need to do, both in anatomic and clinical pathology. It's a written exam that
We're qualified to do the job that we need to do. That's great. Good job.
we take and we need to pass.
Right,
to
Nunya?
demonstrate that we're competent and know what we're doing.
First, in just general terms, if you could explain to the jury, what is pathology?
Pathology is, well, there are 2 basic branches of pathology: anatomic pathology and clinical pathology. Anatomic pathology is basically, an anatomic pathologist is a physician or MD or a DO trained to make diagnoses on patients via looking at tissue biopsies, organs, tissue fluids, and we're also trained in autopsy pathology as well. So basically, an anatomic pathologist, we look at tissues via glass slides. Slides are made, and we every day make the diagnosis of, somebody has a cancer or somebody doesn't have a cancer, benign. Look at colon polyps, breast biopsies, pretty much anything that comes out of the operating room or a physician's office, any sort of biopsy. Clinical pathology, on the other hand, is basically a clinical pathologist is a physician, an MD or a DO, who specializes in the clinical lab, which basically is any fluid specimen, including blood specimens. When you go to the hospital and you have your blood test and it gets sent to the lab, the clinical pathologist is ultimately responsible for the quality of your lab tests and quality, and basically that's it.
And so the time that you worked at Good Samaritan, did that cover the date of January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And again, what was your title and what was your job at Good Samaritan in the month of January 2022?
I was the chief of pathology at the time and laboratory medical director.
What did you do as the laboratory medical director?
Laboratory medical director, basically, the laboratory medical director is responsible for the ultimate quality of any, either whether it's a biopsy, somebody's biopsy, or lab result. The laboratory medical director has to make sure that the final result is of excellent quality. So there are many different things that we need to make sure that things that are in place, as far as need to make sure we have the correct amount of workers. You want to have enough workers. You want to make sure they're competent. So as many, there are policies for competency for all the lab techs and phlebotomists and even pathologists. So basically, the laboratory medical director, if something goes wrong, it's ultimately his or her fault.
And the lab at Good Samaritan, is that lab accredited?
Yes, it is.
And by what body?
We are accredited, or Good Samaritan is accredited by the, we call it the CAP. It's a College of American Pathologists. They are considered the preeminent accrediting body for hospitals. They've been around for probably 70 plus years or so.
What is accreditation? What does that mean?
Accreditation is basically something that says that your laboratory is following guidelines and providing excellent quality. To be accredited with the CAP, every 2 years we have a laboratory inspection. They don't tell you when they're coming. They will give you a 3-month window, and they'll come and inspect you to make sure we have a good quality lab. Each section of the lab, pathology, the clinical lab, microbiology, chemistry, hematology. The CAP has a checklist with numerous requirements that one needs to fulfill. There are probably over 3,000 items that they look at.
And was your laboratory at Good Samaritan, was the accreditation up to date on January 29th, 2022?
We were accredited, still are.
Now, in Good Samaritan Medical Center, when a blood test is ordered, what types of things is the lab testing for?
I think the most common tests that are performed when you go and you have your blood tests is one is chemistry, a chemistry test where we sodium, potassium, chloride, glucose. We also a common test is a CBC, or a complete blood count, where we look at your red blood cells and your white blood cells and your platelets. Those are the two most common tests.
And why is blood testing ordered in the course of medical treatment at a hospital?
When you're admitted to the hospital, usually you're sick, so the physician is usually a standard, ordering chemistry and CBC to see if there are any clues in those tests that could help the doctor take care of you. If they look at a BUN and creatinine, maybe if they're elevated, you're either dehydrated or have renal failure. If you look at liver function tests, maybe there's something wrong with your liver. So it's just a general, a good look at the patients to see if there are any clues that could help them.
And as far as the blood testing results are concerned, how does that assist either a doctor or a clinician in treatment and diagnosis?
Basically, what I just said. If there's nothing, if the results are normal, that sometimes helps too. Rules things out if they're normal. If they do a CBC and look at the hemoglobin and it's low and patient's anemic, maybe the patient might need a transfusion. So there are many different case scenarios where the results can help.
Well, Rexy, I don't know. This guy might put me to sleep, but I may not be live. I'll be like, are you guys just gonna start catching me fucking snoring?
The provider, the clinician.
Now, with reference to alcohol, does the Good Samaritan Medical Center, do they also test alcohol within the blood?
Yes, we do.
And why would that assist medical treatment and diagnosis?
I think if a physician is wanting to know if somebody's been drinking or has alcohol on board, or maybe not, maybe a patient has ingested maybe drugs of abuse. So they'll test for alcohol to see, one, if it's positive, and if it is, then it helps confirm that the patient has been drinking.
Now, are there any policies and protocols at Good Samaritan Medical Center with reference to how blood is taken and how blood is tested?
Yes, we have numerous policies. We have one policy specifically for phlebotomists. Those are laboratory technicians who draw the blood. So we have a policy for them to explain exactly what they need to do. And also in the laboratory, we have numerous policies basically for any tests that we provide. And so we have a policy for alcohol testing as well.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Doctor, I'm placing before you two sets of documents. Just ask you to review those generally and look up when you're finished. And do you recognize what those are, sir?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury what is contained within each of those two sets of documents?
Okay. The first one is a patient preparation for specimen collection. This is the policy that I was mentioning, specifically designed for our phlebotomist to detail the procedure of the blood draw. Basically goes through one of the most important parts of the process is correct patient identification, where we need to correctly identify the patient. We have the patient state his or her first and last name and state it out loud to make sure it matches which the patient that we're trying to draw. And then we also match up the bracelet to the medical record number on the patient's bracelet. So one of the most important things is correct patient identification. The rest of this policy goes on and just pretty much details what to do next, including finding the veins, cleaning the site.
That's exactly right,
information on if there are any complications. So it's basically the.
What'd you say?
I said, that's exactly right, Lacey. That's the only reason we're here.
Oh, yeah.
Entire process of the blood draw. The second one is our alcohol policy, which pretty much details in detail what goes on behind the scenes for an alcohol blood test in our hospital.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, Commonwealth will seek to introduce in a minute the next two exhibits.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, for the record, it would be the patient preparation for specimen collection, the next exhibit in line.
All right. Exhibit 35.
And the ETOH policy would be the next exhibit number 37.
Exhibit 36.
Excuse me.
That's-
Thank you. Now, doctor, what types of precautions are in place at Good Samaritan with respect specifically to alcohol testing in the blood? Or I should say taking the blood sample from the patient.
Yes, one of the major things we need to do with taking somebody's blood for alcohol is to obviously not use an alcohol swab. Normally, when you have your blood test, they cleanse the area with a swab that contains alcohol. So in our policy is a specific statement that says, do not use alcohol swab because potentially when you're drawing the blood, if you suck up some of that residual alcohol, you could cause a false positive. So we have in our policy, and it's every hospital should have the same policy where we use a swab, a swab that has no alcohol. We call them a moist towelette. That's what we refer to.
Okay, so where's the nurse that actually drew her blood,
Also
and
in
did
the
they
emergency
use an
room,
alcohol swab? Like, notice how they don't bring anybody, they don't bring the actual nurse in that actually took her blood.
Right.
So
Well,
he could say our policy is not to use an alcohol swab, but where's the nurse that took it? And did she use an alcohol swab?
yes. No. A moist towelette.
Yeah. Everyone calls it a moist towelette. It's like his team made it up.
Oh God.
Supervisor pretty much removed probably 95% of all the alcohol swabs. So just in case a phlebotomist forgets to not use an alcohol swab, they are hard to find. We need to keep a few there because we need to use alcohol wipes on certain tests like blood cultures and stuff like that. So
When were the alcohol swabs removed from the emergency department?
it was before my time.
So fair to
not
say
sure.
prior to January 29th, 2022?
Correct.
What is a phlebotomist and what do they do?
So a phlebotomist is a healthcare professional who specializes in drawing blood. So they're the ones who are trained, competent, and know what to do when they draw a patient's blood.
What kind of training do phlebotomists receive at Good Samaritan?
We try to hire phlebotomists who have been trained. It's just easier. So they can have a high school background.
You think the fucking jury cares anything about any of this shit? This is all just so that he can prove that his lab is accredited and that they follow policies and procedures so that anything that happened with the blood is done through their correct chain of custody and protocols. Ugh, sucks.
But if we train on site, they just need to be trained on, the proper protocol, proper procedures, and demonstrate competency.
Is there any sort of proficiency testing related to phlebotomists at Good Samaritan?
There's no proficiency testing for phlebotomists, but there's competency assessments. So with phlebotomists or any laboratory technician or even pathologists, there are strict guidelines for competency. We have to always make sure people know what they're doing. And it's a CLIA or a federal government regulation or requirement. So when anybody first starts in a hospital, the requirements are, one, initial training. You can't let anybody come in on their own, without not knowing what they're doing. So we have to document that they have the initial training and they're competent. And then the law says 6 months from that, we do another competency assessment where we look at 6 elements of competency defined by CLIA, and 6 months from that, 1 year from the start date, is another competency, and then after that, it's annual thereafter. And that goes for phlebotomists, and then it goes for any laboratory technician.
Doctor, once the blood is drawn by the phlebotomist, what happens then?
So the phlebotomist will draw it at the time. They need to have the specimens labeled in the patient's room because you don't want the phlebotomist to mislabel. So everything gets labeled at the patient's bedside with an initialed and with the phlebotomist's initial and date and time. That blood test will then be sent to the lab. In this case, the blood was drawn in the emergency room, so it gets packaged into a plastic bag and sent in a pneumatic tube up to the laboratory.
And once it's sent to the laboratory, what happens with the sample from there?
This is so boring.
Once we receive it, it's called receiving the specimen. There will be a technician who then goes into the computer, enters the phlebotomist's name from the tube into the computer system, enters the time, and the technologist will look and see what was ordered,
Right.
and then do the appropriate next step based on what was ordered.
And in a case in which alcohol is one of the items that are ordered, what is the
I've
next step?
understand
as far as
forever,
the testing
too.
goes?
So the next step with alcohol testing, we
speed it up?
use a specific tube, so the phlebotomist would know what tube to use. It would be a light green tube that has lithium heparin in it. It's an anticoagulant. We don't want the blood to clot, so that's why we use an anticoagulant. So the first step when testing for alcohol is that the test is designed to be performed on serum or plasma. And to get that, the next step would be to centrifuge the blood. The centrifuge is a machine that spins the blood rapidly. We spin it at around 3,300 RPMs, which is pretty fast, rotations per minute. And the reason why we spin it, because centrifugation will allow it to separate the blood components based on the density. So the heavier stuff like the red blood cells will go to the bottom, and the lighter stuff like the watery component of the blood will go to the top, and some of the white cells go into the middle. But for alcohol testing, we are targeting the top part of the blood component, which would be plasma.
And then once it goes through the centrifuge process, what happens then?
So once it's centrifuged, we have the separation of the blood components. We have the plasma ready to be tested. So that technologist will walk the specimen over, it's probably 10 feet from there, and put it onto our Roche Cobas machine. That's our machine that performs our chemistries.
None of your business. The one-line sentence would be a moist towelette.
As well as alcohol testing. It goes on to a machine.
Just tell us what our BCA was. My
Basically,
God.
it's a black box. And the label present on the blood tube will dictate what the Roche machine will test. So based on the barcode label, once it's on our machine, it knows what test to do, and it will perform an alcohol test.
And Dr. Ford, our stenographer, do you know how to spell that Roche Cobas machine that you were just referencing?
So ROCHE, Roche, and Cobas, COBAS.
Thank you, sir. May I approach on?
Yes.
Lally, get to the fucking point.
Dr. Schoen, you may consider the documents again.
My eyes are like, my eyelids just want to close.
Do you recognize those records, sir?
Yes.
And what do you recognize those to be?
These are the medical records of Karen Reed.
And sir, is there an indication within those records as far as the date of treatment for Ms. Reed?
Yes, there's a bunch of dates in here.
As far as the treatment is concerned, sir?
Yes.
And what is the date of treatment?
Oh, 1/9/22.
Sorry, is that 29/22?
That's what it says on this. The mid date, it says 1/29/22.
What are you doing, sir?
If I could direct your attention further into the document.
Did he forget his fucking
His fucking glasses were on top of his head.
He forgot
Oh.
to put his fucking glasses on.
I can't. I can't. We need to finish with this one. I can't.
That's fucking amazing.
Oh my God.
That was amazing. Look at it.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh fuck, I can't see this. Somebody, I need my glasses. Oh,
So I'm here to tell you.
it is so fucking funny. Go ahead.
So my glasses are to be able to see far away, but they're so strong that they make everything in front of me that I'm trying to read blurry. So I need them to see far away, but I have to like take them off just to see my phone. But first of all, you bring the paper to your face. You don't have to bring your face to the paper.
You bring your face to the paper. He's like, let me smell this paper. Smells like a moist towelette to me.
So it could be that, but he also looks like he probably should just get some progressives. But maybe you're right. Maybe he's a paper sniffer.
He might be a paper sniffer.
I wish he would just tell us what our BAC was so we can move on. That would be
He can't
lovely.
see it.
He can't see it. Oh no.
It says 129.
This better not be. This better not take all day.
Thank you, sir.
Like,
It doesn't. It
Doctor, if I
doesn't.
could direct your attention further into the documents who were previously
He's
tapped.
like, now that I'm not reading, I'll put those back on.
oh no.
Oh shit, that was funny.
Portion. Do you see any indication in there as far as
Oh, he's going back in.
a result for alcohol testing?
Oh, he's going back in. Oh, he's going back in.
I'm so confused. Is it because he's nearsighted, but he probably needs like bifocals?
Oh, yeah. But what I was trying to get at is like, I have a strong prescription. I can't see my phone with my glasses on, but all I have to do is take the glasses off. I don't need to get like I don't have to touch nose to paper. Like at this point, you're better off just, at this point, you're better off just putting your glasses back on, sir, and holding the paper out further from your face.
Yeah. I think he definitely needs like bifocals.
Lacey, so do I. Like I
You
actually
never find a vein.
I just bought another pair of glasses because I lost mine the one weekend and I couldn't find them because I couldn't see. And then my kid's like, Mommy, they'll turn up somewhere. Retrace your steps. And I'm like, dude, I can't see. I can retrace my steps all I want, but I'm gonna step on them. I don't know where they are. And he's like, well, I'm sure we'll find them. And I'm like, do you
reminds me of the chick from Scooby-Doo who loses her glasses and she's always feeling around for them?
Yeah, I was like, mister, I can't cook for you. I can't drive you to the bus stop. I can't walk you to the bus stop. I can't do anything till we find my glasses. Find my glasses. I won't tell you where they were, but you know. No, I'm not getting a strap fiend. No,
You're not going to tell me where they were?
What?
You're not going to tell me where they were? Were they on your head?
No, it wasn't that bad. No, I don't put them on my head because it stretches them out. I don't do that. Don't do that.
What?
If you
Well, where were they?
They were on my desk.
They were on your desk?
But I think my kid might have hid them and then put them on the desk later because we checked the desk. Well, I have an excuse because I could not see, but my kid has perfect vision. He could see a bird taking a shit from 70,000 feet up in the air. I can't see in front of me. And so I think he found them somewhere else. Maybe they weren't supposed to be and he put them back. But I was like,
birds are supposed to fly that high.
My kid can see things that I, like, even with my glasses on, I can't see until they're way closer. He has, thank God, but he has amazing vision. I can't, I'm worthless. I can't even.
Well, yeah,
like,
I'm blind. I'm fucking blind. So
like, it's disorienting to walk. Like when you can't see clear, it didn't used to be like that for me. But then as my eyes got worse, it got worse. But it's even just disorienting just to walk around without being able to clearly see. Lacey, that's what I think. See? He's mischievous like that. He was probably trying to get into something he don't want me to be able to see.
yeah, he was like, let me just fucking hide these and she'll never know.
I hope he doesn't do this much more.
Indiana girl, I'm jealous.
Oh my God. How close he is to that paper, just absolutely.
He's like, I must become one with this
Yes,
report.
that results. Have you reviewed these records?
I don't even know what he's
Oh my God, he has to put them to his face. Wait a minute.
Results. Have you reviewed these records prior to today?
Oh my God.
And if you could explain to the jury sort of the timeline from this blood sample as far as let's start with first when it was ordered.
So when it was ordered, it was 9:03 in the morning.
And when was it taken, sir?
The blood test was taken 5 minutes later, so 9:08.
And then what happened, or what is the next time that something of any significance happened with it?
5 minutes from that, 9:13, we received it, and 9:53 in the morning, the result was entered into the computer. So it was ordered at 9:03, and I believe it was 9:53. The results were in the computer.
And may I approach again, Your Honor?
Hey, Bear Jew.
I'll be clear. I like this man. I think he's a nice guy, you know, whatever. And I think he's very smart. He's like one of those really smart, like the guy that delivered my kid, like one of those really smart, but then a little bit awkward kind of people because they're so intelligent. But this,
Yeah, this guy is not going to be fun at parties. Let me just say that. He's probably a very nice guy, but
Like Lally, well, somebody should have met with him and been like, this is not class. We don't need to know how all the things work. Really? What could be so bad about Cross? Last time it was like fine. Like, oh, see, now we got to get to Cross because now I'm curious.
we're almost there.
How could it go wrong? Is it Liza?
Yeah, it is little. The phlebotomist party. They're all talking about moist towelettes.
Doctor, what was the result of the testing for
Nom,
alcohol
nom, 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 nom.
when it was taken shortly after 9 a.m. on January 29th?
93 milligrams per deciliter.
Thanks. Nothing further on.
All that to get to that.
Wait, so what was her BCA?
Her BAC.
Yeah.
Thanks.
93 milligrams.
And doctor, what was the result of the
Oh, here we
testing
go.
for alcohol in the defendant's blood when it was taken shortly after 9 a.m. on January 29th?
93 milligrams per deciliter.
Okay.
Thanks. Nothing further on.
There you go.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fowler.
Oh, good afternoon.
The Good Samaritan Lab is a
That's
clinical,
normal.
not a forensic lab. Is that right?
Correct.
And hospitals are not in the legal business of calculating an individual's blood alcohol concentration. Is that
What
right?
about your normal?
I would say
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I mean, I guess 0 is normal, guys. I don't know. 0.08 is illegal.
Right. That's the legal limit where you can drive. So she was the time it was taken was a 0.093.
99.9% of the time, we are not in the legal business. We are testing alcohol for the diagnosis of alcohol intoxication. But occasionally, a case may come, very rare, to a hospital, and it ends up being a legal case. It's not common. I think uncommon.
And you'd agree that there are differences between screening tests that are conducted at hospitals and forensic tests that are conducted by law enforcement, right?
Yes.
The purpose of testing in a clinical setting is to assist in the diagnosis and treatment of a patient, right?
Correct.
And physicians need to analyze blood quickly. They need to get the results so they can see what's in a patient's system and then effectively and efficiently treat that patient, right?
Correct.
Whereas in a forensic setting, tests for blood alcohol concentration are designed to produce results that are reliable and credible for use in court, correct?
Correct.
You testified earlier today that your lab is accredited by CAP, which is the College of American Pathologists. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, I do.
But CAP is a clinical laboratory accreditation, not a forensic accreditation, right?
We don't have the forensic accreditation for Good Samaritan.
In fact, Good Samaritan has never been investigated or accredited by any forensic accreditation team to ensure that you perform all of your tests with the integrity necessary to support results in court, right?
We've never been, we've never had the forensic accreditation, but we have very good quality lab results, which I could go into further.
No, thank you.
But you've never been accredited by a forensic accreditation team,
No,
right?
no,
And the lab at Good Samaritan has never been accredited by the ANSI, which is the National Accreditation Board known as ANAB. Are you familiar with that organization?
no,
Are you aware that ANAB is the forensic accreditation body that in the United States that ensures that laboratories' procedures meet the minimum standards necessary to ensure results are reliable and credible for use in court?
Sustained.
Now, the most reliable method of forensic ethanol testing is called headspace gas chromatography, or HSGC. Are you familiar with that process?
Yes.
And HSGC is the method that's used by forensic labs.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
To test for blood
And the
alcohol
giggles.
content, right?
Correct.
And that's because forensic tests require the testing of whole blood for the presence of alcohol, right?
Correct.
Can you briefly, just for the jury, describe sort of the difference between a whole blood test and a serum test?
Sure. So whole blood, to put it simply, when you have your blood drawn, you see the fluid coming out all red. That's whole blood. We don't do anything to it. We don't spin it down. We don't centrifuge it. That is whole blood. That is the specimen of choice for forensic blood ethanol testing. Hospitals, on the other hand, our methodology, which is just as good as the forensic headspace gas chromatography, is based on looking at the serum or the plasma. So we don't, that's what I went when I
Basically, you
explained
separate it from all the rest of the blood.
centrifuge it, take the liquid portion off the
They
top.
did to me.
So in the hospital, we test it on the serum or the plasma. Now, did you ask me the difference?
Who said it's just as good?
That's enough, doctor. Thank
Okay,
you. I'll
all right.
ask
That's enough, Doc.
to clarify.
She's like, I'm fucking done. You're putting me to sleep now, and I'm not going to remember my next question. Okay.
He looks like he really wants to explain it though.
He does. He's like, but I have to tell you all the things.
And in a forensic lab, they actually require the testing of whole blood, correct?
Correct.
And HSGC directly measures ethanol in the blood.
Correct.
And this method is designed to be accurate and reliable for forensic purposes for use in legal proceedings, correct?
Correct.
But the testing in this case was performed using the hospital's clinical chemistry machine instead of a forensically defensible method like HSGC, right?
Correct.
And that clinical chemistry machine performs what you just testified to, a serum test, right?
Serum or plasma.
Serum or plasma. And hospitals use serum or plasma testing because it's actually quicker and more efficient than HSGC, right?
Yes, it's less labor intensive. It's easy to automate, but at the same time, very, very good and very accurate.
But serum testing does not actually measure alcohol directly.
Is he picking lint off his
It instead
suit?
measures the presence of what's called a
What?
Is he picking lint off his suit?
Yeah, he's bored. He's like, she didn't let me say all the dumb things I wanted to say, and now I'm mad, and I'm just gonna pay attention to my lint.
That's exactly what he's doing.
He's like, you don't want to hear all my things, then I'm not gonna listen to you either.
what's called NADH, right? Yes, I'll repeat that. That was my fault. Serum testing does not actually measure alcohol directly. Instead, it measures the presence of NADH. Is that right?
Almost.
Well, NADH is a byproduct of alcohol, right?
Correct. I can go into the testing how methodology that we use to explain it if you want me to.
Well, serum testing measures the presence of NADH, correct?
It measures the
wants
rate
to
of
explain
change
so
in
bad.
NADH production, so it doesn't actually
So mad that he can't.
look at just NADH, and it measures the rate of production, and I can go into more detail on that. Alcohol testing in the lab is correct.
I'll ask you some additional
Okay,
questions
sure.
about NADH and we'll
Sure.
get there.
Yeah.
So you can do this now, but let the doctor answer his question fully next question, okay? And the following questions.
Doctor, the higher the NADH in a patient's system, the higher the
Bev's defending his honor. She's like, he's upset. Just let him answer the questions. This
She
one,
didn't care last year when she made
Yeah,
everybody
no,
sweat their balls off because of him.
right. But now she's like, he's over here just picking lint off of his coat. Come on. Come on, just let him have it. Just let him say all the things.
Serum test results.
She's napping right now. So she's like, just let him talk so I can get some sleep.
Correct?
That may not be correct, no. It's the rate of change of NADH production based on our methodology. I can go into that. So our test system is a little bit different than the forensic testing system, but it's also very good and very accurate and almost when we compare our methodology to the Headspace, we get the exact same results, and when we compare and with peer laboratory comparisons. But what we do,
Where are those comparisons?
and I think the jury needs to know this, maybe
There you go.
some of you might understand the chemistry behind it.
No, they won't. Okay.
But we do, we take the patient's sample.
You hear him? He said, I think the jury needs to know this. This is what he's been sitting there thinking about this whole time.
Yeah.
That she cut me off and made it so I couldn't talk and tell the jury all the things that I think the jury needs to hear. Sir, no one is listening to you.
Sample, and it's based on we add, because when there's alcohol in the specimen, we add actually in the test system alcohol dehydrogenase. It's the same enzyme that's in the patient's body. In addition, we add a surplus of NAD to it. NAD is similar to NADH. They get converted back and forth. So when we put it on our test system, it's alcohol dehydrogenase is in there. And what happens is when there's alcohol, it combines with NAD that we add to it. It creates NADH. And then in our machine, there's a spectrophotometer, which can monitor the rate of NADH production over baseline. And we use, there's something that measures, a photometer that measures the NADH production. It looks at light in this physics and looks at 340 nanometers. And it's pretty accurate. It will monitor, it will tell you, it will tell the system how much NADH is produced, and that amount is directly proportional to the alcohol in the patient sample. So it's a very, very accurate test, but there are some limitations that I can go into.
So wait for another question.
Okay.
Next question, Ms. Little.
Yes, so serum testing can be subject to errors, right? And there are limitations.
There are some limitations that I can explain, just like headspace gas chromatography may have some limitations too, but I can go into them.
Next question.
What are some of the limitations of the serum testing?
Okay. So the serum test, as with many tests in the laboratory, different things can interfere with our laboratory tests. And the three most common ones, which are unlikely to affect ethanol testing, is we abbreviated HIL. We want to look at those three things. One is hemolysis, which is H, and the other one is icterus, which is high bilirubin. And the third is L for lipids. High lipids will interfere with alcohol testing or with any testing based on that same methodology. Our machine, the Rose Kobash machine, and all the machines out in the market today are very sophisticated. If we have elevated levels of any H or I or L, it will flag it and raise the potential for a problem. The next thing on the list is that our alcohol testing is not absolutely specific for ethanol. There are two possible other alcohols that can cross-react. One is propanol and butanol. but then it goes clinical history. Did the patient ingest those 2 alcohols? And third is there's some unusual hematologic malignancies like Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia that can interfere. So always have to correlate with the clinical situation. The next one, sometimes there can be patients who make endogenous, make their own alcohol. So very rarely, some patients may truly have a positive result. That could be from our test or Headspace. They make their own, so we have to rule that out. It's a rare condition. And the next one is one that's in the literature, which is LDH and lactic acid. If a patient has a markedly elevated LDH or lactic acid, those one is an enzyme, and the other one is an acid. That can cause false positives. Now,
if I could stop you there, doctor, I think those were the 4 that you identified, the 4 limitations: the lactic acid, the hemat.
Yeah.
If I could just
Go ahead and ask your next question.
If I could ask you a few more questions about LDH and lactic acid.
Sure.
You're aware, Dr. Fowler, of the medical literature establishing that the presence of LDH and lactic acid can lead to falsely elevated serum readings, correct?
Correct.
And that's because lactic acid or LDH actually forms NADH. Right?
Lactic acid, I'll have to go into a little bit of chemistry. Lactic acid and LDH, lactate dehydrogenase, they both act on each other. And LDH and lactic acid needs NAD plus to break it down. So in theory, when you're testing a serum, a plasma for blood alcohol, if there's extra LDH or high levels of LDH, high levels of lactic acid, you add it to the test system, and then Roche throws in, or Siemens throws in the NAD, it will form NADH. That was first documented, I think, back in the older versions of these ethanol testings back in the 1990s, when they stumbled on, they were looking for biomarkers or reasons in kids with SIDS, little babies, and they found that two of these babies had a positive alcohol. But
Doctor, if I could just ask the next question, if that's okay.
Sorry.
So in other words, NADH, studies have found, can actually be formed by certain biomechanical processes other than the presence of alcohol, right?
Yes.
Are you aware that the National Institute of Health has found that liver diseases, kidney diseases, muscle injury, trauma, and even anemia are some of the health conditions that can lead to a rise in serum LDH levels?
Yes.
Are you aware that Ms. Reed was severely anemic in January of 2022?
Sustained.
Are you aware that the medical literature has also found that patients suffering from multiple sclerosis have a 2-fold increase in NADH levels as compared to controls?
I'm going to allow that.
Yeah, why would that be an objection? Nice
I
try.
haven't read anything specifically related to the NADH level, but but I want to go back to the point where our laboratory, our testing is not based.
Let him finish his answer.
It's not.
Jesus.
It's the
He's trying
rate
to
of
go back to another
change of
question.
NADH. So if somebody has NADH on board, I believe it's not going to affect the result. It's the rate of change, and it basically. Back to the anemia. I haven't read or heard of that.
That was stricken. That was not allowed.
He wants it all in.
Goes
Don't you
back
get it?
to the lactic acid and the LDH. The NADH doesn't matter. So, looking at multiple sclerosis patients, they can have elevated LDH and lactic acid, but it's not to the extent that it can interfere with the alcohol levels. there was a study, maybe 7-10 years ago.
Your Honor,
Oh my
there's
fucking
a
God.
question pending.
You asked him about a study, if he was aware of the studies.
I asked, and that's a yes or no question. And he's,
All right, Doctor, we're going to hold that there for you and ask the
She's the one.
I mean-
Judge Bev's the one who let him continue. He didn't even. He went back to answer a different question because he was cut off, and he finds it important that he gets to say what he wants to say. That answer had nothing to do with the damn question.
And she asked him about a specific study, not for him to start talking about other studies.
Right. But then Judge is
Yes,
like, let him
no,
answer the question. And it's like, that's not even the question. Because he said, I want to go back to this, that, and the other from your previous question that you didn't let me answer.
No.
So I can't get it out of my head now because I need to be able to tell the jury, because the jury needs to hear my answer to the question you told me I can't answer.
But also, they took her blood and shit. Did they not test all these things? Like, can't they just look and see if her lactic acid was high? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. And he's so pissed. He's just
yeah,
like,
whatever.
Next
Just answer the
question.
fucking question.
Doctor, have you reviewed the August 21st, 2013 peer-reviewed article entitled Serum NAD Through Disease Course in Multiple Sclerosis, which was sponsored by the Center of Healthy Brain Aging by the University of New South Wales? Which, sure. Doctor, have you reviewed the August 21st, 2013 peer-reviewed article entitled Serum NAD Levels Through Disease Course in Multiple Sclerosis, which was sponsored by the Center for Healthy Brain Aging by the School of Psychiatry at the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, which specifically found that patients suffering from multiple sclerosis have a twofold increase in NADH levels as compared to controls?
Yes or no? Have you read it?
I'll strike the part of what the article held. Is he aware of the article?
No, I'm not, to be honest, no.
Well, you should be being honest this whole time. Okay.
Dr. Fowler, did you consider Ms. Reed's anemia and multiple sclerosis condition when you conducted the alcohol test on January 29th, 2022?
No, we don't. No.
And again, serum tests like the ones conducted in this case don't test for ethanol. They only test for NADH, right?
We test for the rate of change of NADH production.
And Doctor, you did a number of other tests on Ms. Reed on January 29th, 2022. You tested for additional drugs, not just alcohol, correct?
Correct.
And all of those results were negative.
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay.
Carla, Karen has MS.
yeah.
Doctor, are you aware, I know your lab at Good Samaritan did not do this process, but are you aware through your training and experience of any sort of mathematical conversion that can be done from a serum reading in milligram per deciliter to a blood alcohol concentration of whole blood?
He didn't do it.
I'm going to allow it. The door was open.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I am aware. Yep.
And please describe
oh, wait a minute.
with reference to that.
So
Yeah.
if you have a witness that goes rogue and just starts running their mouth and not answering your question
Yeah.
and just saying all the things they want to say, even though you try to stop them, she's saying that means the door is open.
She opened the door.
I literally don't get it. I don't. I mean, this is just so bizarre. You have a witness who actually did the mathematical equations. Bring that person up. Why are we asking this man?
Well, with blood alcohol concentrates goes to, when it's in your blood, it goes more to the watery components of your blood. So when I described the process earlier, whole blood is before we spin it. And when we test the plasma, which is specifically testing the watery component. Now, people have done studies like how much percentage of water is a serum versus whole blood. Basically, to put it simple, there's a higher percentage of water in the serum versus whole blood. So a hospital result will always be a little bit higher than a test on whole blood. It can be, I think the ratio, the conversion factor is anywhere from 1.1 to 1.18. It's always could be 18% or 11% higher in serum versus whole blood. But we don't do it. That's what I read. We'll defer that to the experts.
What?
He just keeps going on.
Oh, I thought you had like an epiphany, like an aha moment.
No, like a groan, like please answer and just go. Just please go.
I think he's almost done. Yeah, he's almost done.
It's about time to switch
Doctor,
lanes.
you were referencing in your cross-examination about a study that you were aware of about 10 years ago or so regarding MS and alcohol testing. Is that correct?
It was more on MS, looking at the results of lactic acid and LDH to see how high the levels of lactic acid can go in a group of multiple sclerosis patients. When reviewing that, we found that the range went from some normal range, 16% of the multiple sclerosis patients had normal lactic acids. But
didn't he say he had no idea what the study showed? He didn't read it?
Was he talking about the same study? Because he was also talking about the studies he did read. That's what he was trying to put in, was all these other studies.
It sounded like Lally said,
honestly, I have no fucking idea what he's talking about. I'm going to be real clear here. He makes me want to take a nap.
I thought Lally said you were asked about a study, blah, 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 the one about MS. And now he's like telling us results. But I thought, because he said he hadn't read the other thing. Okay, nobody knows. Okay, then I'll just stay not knowing too.
You probably are right.
He took through a whole wash cycle, so I'm just gonna listen.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm like, okay, can we just finish with him? Like, we got the information we needed from him. I don't.
Literally just a number. It could have been done an hour ago.
And he's making me very tired. I think I'm almost done with
you can't yawn.
Pepper.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch the yawns.
Yeah, sorry.
Levels were not anywhere near the required levels to produce a false positive. Our package inserts and for the Roche testing system, the Roche has it's an FDA approved test, and they have to do in-depth, detailed testing before they allow any hospital to do a test. And they have listed levels of lactic acid beyond which the test would not be reliable. But the results, based on this study of 600 multiple sclerosis patients, 2 big centers in Italy and 1 in the Netherlands, show that the highest level of lactic acid in the MS patients did not achieve, didn't get close. Usually patients with MS that are asymptomatic can have normal or low normal levels, or slightly elevated. It was the ones that had more symptoms that had elevated levels up to, I think the highest was 6.5 millimoles per deciliter, which is not high enough to interfere with our result.
Now, with respect to the lab at Good Samaritan Medical Center, the interference that you were speaking about earlier on cross-examination, what would happen if any of those types of interference were to occur during the course of the testing?
No, I'll allow it.
The 3 main ones, which I detailed earlier, is the hemolysis, icterus, and lipemia. Machines are sophisticated. It will detect it and say, it will flag it and say, please do not result it, or we'll have a disclaimer saying, interpret this result with caution. The results may not be accurate. It hardly ever happens with alcohol testing. But if it did, we would get a result like that, and we probably wouldn't report it.
And from your review of the defendant's medical records, specifically her testing from January 29th, did you notice any interference or any reports like that in her record?
No.
Now, the testing that you're doing at Good Samaritan is in relation to patients such as that might have cancer or heart disease or something like that, correct?
Correct.
Now, you were talking or started to speak on cross-examination about the good quality lab results that you have from your lab, and you wanted to go into that further. Could you please expound upon that for the jury now?
We have you mentioned proficiency testing before. So all hospital laboratories accredited by the CAP or have to participate in proficiency testing. What that means is that every 3 times a year, and they give us 5 unknown samples. And we have to test it, report it back to CAP, which also reports back to the government. And we have to basically get the correct answers. And with alcohol testing, it's probably one of the best tests in the laboratory. Always have right on the money results. But at the same time, we're also able to look at results of all the other labs that participated in this proficiency testing. So we can look at different methods. We can look at labs that have the same method as us to see how we're doing. And usually with this proficiency testing, we have 3,000 labs across the nation that have the same methodology as us, so we can compare to them. And also, interestingly, we can see the labs that are using headspace gas chromatography. And out of interest, we can see how do we compare, and we have pretty exactly the same results on these proficiency testings. We also look at some statistics as well, not going into them, but we can look at some stats like standard deviations and SDs. And actually, the hospitals with enzymatic testing have slightly better stats with that compared to Headspace. Pretty close, but a little bit better.
And doctor, from your review of the defendant's medical records and the blood testing in this case, was that done in conformity with the policies and protocols at Good Samaritan?
We have policies in place to be followed, and there's no reason not to think that somebody didn't follow policy.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Ms. Little?
No questions.
All right, doctor, you are all set, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thank fuck. Jesus.
Do you have another witness, Mr. Brennan?
I do.
Okay.
The Commonwealth calls Jason Becker.
Who's he? Who's Jason Becker? See, one of the EMTs? No.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending?
Was he one of the EMTs? Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Nothing but the true self?
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. All right, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jason Becker.
How old are you?
I am 36 years old.
Do you live in the area?
I do. I live in Canton.
Tell us a little bit about your education.
My education, high school and college UMass. And I went to EMT school a little over 10 years ago and paramedic school.
Tell me a little bit about EMT school. How old were you when you started EMT school?
When I started EMT school, roughly 21 years old.
Why did you decide to go to EMT school?
I wanted to save some lives.
Tell us a little bit about EMT school. What did it require?
I'm gonna save some of
EMT
it.
school was
Yeah,
a
there's these
couple
like
months of
I
classroom
don't really care about them.
stuff, and then you do some ride time on the ambulance. Paramedic school is a little different. It's about a little extended, 2 years worth of training. You're doing hospital, ER time, and ambulance time also.
How long did you serve as an EMT before you went to paramedic school?
I worked as an EMT for approximately 5 years.
Can you estimate how many dozens or hundreds of calls you were on during that time?
Hundreds.
Why did you decide then to go get paramedic training?
I wanted to be on the fire department, and it was a prerequisite.
Did you complete paramedic school successfully?
I did.
Were you still working as an EMT at the time?
I was.
And inevitably, did you seek to have a different job? Did you try to be a firefighter?
I wanted to be a firefighter. Correct.
Yeah,
Were you successful in doing that?
I was.
Tell us a little bit about that, sir.
On the Canton Fire Department. So I got on the Canton Fire Department, and then they send you to the fire academy, where you train to be a firefighter.
He looks
So
peaked.
you had EMT training,
Like what?
He looks peaked.
He looks like a thumb toe.
Looks a little unwell.
Yeah, he does. Look at those. Look at those extremely hooded eyes.
You know, they tell me, at least I've heard, that that's a sign of a serial killer.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that too.
paramedic training, and then firefighter training.
That's correct.
On the Canton Police Department, did you serve dual roles as a paramedic and as a firefighter?
Fire department?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
department, sorry.
Yes, sir. Firefighter and as a paramedic.
You served as a firefighter and a paramedic.
Correct.
In the Canton Fire Department, does it have more than one station?
There is. There's two.
Is there one station that's larger or smaller than the other?
Station 1 is the headquarters, which is larger.
Had you ever spent time at Station 1 as a firefighter or a paramedic?
I have. We rotate to both stations.
I want you to take us back to January 29th, 2022. Were you working that evening?
I was.
What station were you assigned to?
Canton Station 2.
Canton Fire Station 2?
Correct.
And that's the smaller of the two stations.
It is.
Were you working with anybody at Fire Station 2 that night?
My ambulance partner at the time was firefighter Dan Whitley.
Was there anybody else who was working at Fire Station 2 in addition to you and Dan Whitley?
Correct. There was an engine company with 3 guys on it.
3 people were assigned to
The engine, correct.
Were you and Dan Whitley assigned as partners for the day, the week?
Correct. Yes, we were.
Which was it, the day or the week, sir?
The week.
So for the entire week, you're partners with a person, and does that rotate on other assignments?
It does. It rotates.
So on this particular week, you were assigned as partners with Dan Whitley.
I was.
What were your roles between the two of you?
Well, at the time, he was my preceptor. I was a new paramedic at the time. So I was more or less the lead tech on all the calls as part of my training. And Dan's been a paramedic for a long time. So he was there to teach me.
So would Dan Whitley be the lead on the call and he would help you?
I would be the lead.
You would be the lead.
Correct.
Did you get a call that early morning hours of January 29, 2022?
We did.
What was the call assigned for?
It was a call for Section 12 psych eval.
Very briefly, can you tell us what a Section 12 is?
Sure. It's a transportation order filled out by police, doctor, basically for us on the ambulance that we have to take the patient, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, because they're a threat to themselves or someone else.
When you received the call for a Section 12, were you aware that there were other calls that Fire Station 1 had responded to that morning?
We were aware. You can hear the calls going out each station.
Were you or Dan Whitley any part of that earlier call that Fire Station 1 responded to before you got the call for the Section 12?
We were not.
So your efforts were after?
We were after, correct.
After you got the call to respond to a Section 12, did you head towards Fairview Road?
We did.
Tell us a little bit about the trip to Fairview Road.
It was a little extended because of the weather conditions at the time. Snowing heavily, windy, low visibility.
Okay. How long did it take to get from Fire Station 2 to Fairview Road?
Approximately That's 8 to 10 minutes.
Who drove?
Firefighter Whitley.
Now, on the way to Fairview Road, do you sit in the front of the ambulance?
We do.
Take us to when you arrived to Fairview Road. What do you see?
You see a bunch of police lights. Canton engine 3 was already on scene, so we parked behind them.
Did you have it, without talking about what you spoke about, did you have a chance to speak to anybody at the scene?
We briefly spoke to the Canton police, and they briefed us and sent us to where the defendant was at the time.
Why do you have a conversation with other first responders at the scene before you do anything?
Just, they're making sure the scene is safe to begin with, and they're unseen first, so they have a little more info than what our dispatch would have.
After you had that debriefing with colleagues, were you directed to approach any certain person?
I was.
Where did you go?
I went to the defendant, who was sitting in a black SUV type car.
Were there other persons inside the car with the defendant?
From my understanding, there was one person in the driver's seat.
In what seat was the defendant in?
She was in
Whose black SUV?
Carrie's?
Carrie's SUV is like white.
Oh, he did say black.
Yes, he did. You know who does have a black SUV? Besides Karen? Jen McCabe.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, if Carrie brought him back, then the SUV would not be black. It would be, I don't know if hers is like a white or like a light silver or tan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
it's
we can
definitely light.
It's definitely light.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Who's he talking about?
I don't know.
Well, he also said she's in the back, no?
I didn't hear where he said where she was positioned yet.
They have a little more info than what our dispatch would have.
After you had that debriefing with colleagues, were you directed to approach any certain person?
I was.
Where did you go?
I went to the defendant, who was sitting in a black SUV type car.
Were there other persons inside the car with the defendant?
From my understanding, there was one person in the driver's seat.
In what seat was the defendant in?
She was in the front passenger seat.
Did you have a chance to speak to her?
I did.
And the person you spoke to was in the passenger seat of that car. Do you see that person?
Yeah, I don't know. She's not in a black SUV, so I don't. I'm hoping that the defense is gonna pick up on that. Like, whose car was she in? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like your memory. This is your memory and what you're testifying to, and you can't remember the color of the car.
Yeah. Well, and dark versus light, even if you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's like dark blue and they said black,
I do.
Could you point out and describe an article of clothing, please?
Miss Reed right there, she's in the blue, navy blue.
How long was your conversation with the defendant while she was still seated inside the vehicle?
Approximately 5 to 8 minutes.
At some point, did you and the defendant move to another location?
We did.
Where did you go?
So we went back in the ambulance.
After having a conversation with her, was she cooperative going back to the ambulance with you?
She was.
And did you ask her to be seated in the ambulance?
I did.
Was she cooperative with that as well?
She was.
After she was seated in the ambulance, did you close the doors and get in?
We did.
When you say we, who was with you?
Me and firefighter Whitley.
So you and firefighter Whitley were in the back of the ambulance with Miss Reed. Who was going to drive the ambulance?
Firefighter Sam Park.
Where did he come from?
He was on the fire engine that was already on scene.
I want to ask you questions now about what you did in the back of the ambulance and some of the conversations that you had. Tell us what your role is once you have a patient in the back of the ambulance. What do you do next?
Each patient's different. Depends on what the call is for. In this specific situation, it was more a psych eval, because that's what we're called for. Initial triage questions: is the patient cooperative, uncooperative, combative? I asked her name, her mental status, where she was. I asked her if she was suicidal, and if she was, did she have a plan? Did she want to hurt anyone else? Those are kind of initial triage questions that I would ask
Why do you ask those questions?
just to get a kind of a judgment on the patient, reading the patient.
What's your role at that point? Are you an investigator?
I'm not.
Are you in any way law enforcement?
I'm not.
So what's your focus when you're speaking to a patient?
It's basically hearing them speak in their story. In this specific situation, we didn't know circumstances. We just knew that Miss Reed had found her husband, which she was calling dead on the side of the road. So it was a traumatic call.
So when you were there, you knew nothing about what had happened before you got there.
We did not.
And your role had nothing to do with any of that investigation?
We did not.
You were solely focused on caring for the patient?
Correct.
Did you have any other role other than caring for the patient?
Just making sure she got to the hospital safely. She didn't hurt herself.
During those conversations, are you and firefighter Whitley doing the same thing or different things?
Again, it depends on the call. I was the lead tech, so I'm the one documented, giving a report to the nurses, the staff. So I was more kind of getting that information, my initial triage questions, and then just kind of sat and supported Miss Reed. And
were you writing down information, technical information about status and health on a report?
I was, yes.
While you were doing that, was your colleague speaking to Miss Reed?
He was.
Did you have a chance at times to hear what they were speaking about?
Yeah, and no.
At other times, did you speak directly to Miss Reed?
I have.
Can you describe her demeanor or temperament?
Does anyone call their not husband their husband? I did for many years. So, yes.
Initially, she was agitated because she didn't feel like she needed to go to the hospital. She said the statement she made, she didn't mean. She just kind of said it just because of the events that she went through. So she was, but then there'd be periods of which she'd be calm, and then it would fluctuate. She would have like pressured speech, repetitive, but all in all, she was cooperative.
At some point, did you have a chance to speak to her directly about her mood?
About her mood?
About her mood.
I don't know if I understand the question.
Okay. Did she say anything to you about her last interaction with what she referred to as her husband?
Sleuthie's like, I'm gonna call my next husband before he's my husband too. I don't know about it. I think it also has to do with like the length of time in your relationship. Well, like for me, like my husband and I were together for like 10 years before we got married. Like, we already had kids. So if I would say he was like my boyfriend, it would be weird because then people always thought like my kids were like somebody else's. But like I didn't want to get married. So I was just like never ever going to get married in my whole life. I was just never going to get married. So yeah, it was so when I would like talk to people, he was just my husband because it was just easier than trying to go through the whole thing.
Sustained.
Did she make any statements?
I'm gonna back that up because I was
pressured speech, repetitive.
If you go with partner is such a different terminology now with society that I just don't think partner. If you have a partner, Fiend, a lot of people would infer that you have a same-sex partner. So I wouldn't go with partner either.
But all in all, she was cooperative. So she was, but then there'd be periods of which she'd be calm, and then it would fluctuate. She would have like pressured speech, repetitive, but all in all, she was cooperative.
At some point, did you have a chance to speak to her directly about her mood?
About her mood?
About her mood.
Or you traveled here from the Old West, which makes sense because Fiend does the morning, like the top of the morning.
Did she say anything to you about her last interaction with what she referred to as her husband?
Sustained.
Did she make any statements to you when you were giving her treatment or speaking to her about her husband?
I'll allow that. It came in.
One of the reasons why she was saying suicidal stuff is because the last conversation she had with her husband at the time was an argument. I didn't feel like it was my role to really find out the details on what was said. But that's what she said to me.
But the last thing she said to him was an argument?
Yep.
Sustained.
Did she tell you what the argument was about?
She did not.
Inevitably, did you get a chance to bring her to the hospital?
We did.
Did you stay in the back of the ambulance with her?
I did.
Did you continue to have conversations with her?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear conversations or parts of conversations she was having with your colleague?
I had parts.
When you got to the hospital, what happens next?
So we brought Miss Reed into the hospital, registered her, bring her to the psychiatric section.
The Finley, the Finley, for sure.
Is it,
Hey, the Royal We.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
He's like, we practiced this, and I asked you these questions and told you I wanted these answers, and you're not telling me what I told you to tell me. So we're going to keep going until you tell me definitively what I said.
Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Jackson.
I have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Firefighter Becker.
good afternoon.
When you first arrived at the scene, there was at least two Canton police officers there still.
Correct.
Do you remember their names?
Officer Saraf and Officer Mulvaney.
Okay. Their cruiser was there. You said that an engine was still there?
Correct.
And was there another ambulance there, or the other ambulance had already left the scene? They'd cleared?
They had already transported to the hospital.
Remind me, you were in ambulance two?
Two. I was ambulance 2.
Got it. You parked behind the SUV where you ultimately made contact with Miss Reed, correct?
I think it was more in front of the SUV because the way the SUV was parked.
Got it. Got out of the ambulance, ultimately made contact with Miss Reed through the passenger door.
Correct.
Had a short conversation with her there.
I did.
You said it was maybe 5 to 8 minutes?
More like 5 minutes because of the weather conditions.
Okay, nothing of great consequence. I'm guessing just an initial, I think you called it sort of a triage assessment?
Well, it's more of just introducing myself and asking her how she was doing.
Got it. And then there was one other person in the cab of the vehicle as well.
There was.
Female, male?
Female.
So there are two females, one Miss Reed, one another female. Did you see any other civilian females out there?
I didn't see.
Okay,
But
so at least where you were, the contact that you had with Miss Reed and this other female, there was just two of them, not a third one.
from what I saw, correct.
Did you get the other female's name?
I not at the time. I did not.
Okay. By the way, have you since gotten her name?
Based on a conversation Firefighter Whitley and Miss Reed had back in the ambulance.
Got it. Okay. And who is that other person?
Miss Carrie Roberts.
Okay.
How you doing?
When you first observed Miss Reed, did you note whether or not there was anything unusual about her physical appearance, meaning anything on her?
She did. Yes.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
She had some blood around her mouth, her neck area.
At that point, were you concerned about, obviously you're concerned mainly about her safety and getting her safely to the hospital, correct?
That's correct.
Were you worried that might be her blood?
She had said that she had given CPR to her husband.
Okay. You jumped a question ahead. I was going to say, did she tell you that it was in fact not her blood?
She did. So that kind of, in a way, ruled it out. No
Okay.
injury for me.
And you didn't indicate, you didn't notice anything about her that looked like she was physically injured, physically in harm?
I did not.
Okay. She indicated that she had given CPR, mouth-to-mouth attempts at mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
She did.
And that would account for the blood on her face and in her hair and on her neck.
That's what she told me.
Okay. And based on your observations of her, you didn't have any reason to quarrel with that.
Correct.
Okay. You indicated that her tone was somewhat rapid and repetitive. Is that right?
It fluctuated. So at times it was, yes.
Did it appear to you at that time that she had gone through a pretty significant trauma as best you were trained at the time?
Objection.
A little bit more of a foundation. I'll give it to you.
Sure. Have you ever, in your course of
A
training,
little bit more of a foundation, and I'll give it to you.
seen individuals who have gone through some sort of a traumatic event?
Frequently.
Frequently.
Everyone's different though.
Understood. Obviously, everybody's got their own personalities and the way of dealing with those things, right?
Sure.
Have you been able to, through your training, assess whether, at least in your belief, your observations, if someone has gone through a relatively traumatic event, as opposed to just someone whistling down the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Okay. Did it appear at that time when you're interacting with Ms. Reed that she was showing the signs consistent of having gone through a trauma?
At the time, yes.
Okay. So hence the rapid speech, the repetitive speech, things of that nature.
Correct. For her, for the defendant, some people don't have rapid, repetitive
Understood. I'm
speech.
just talking about your observations of her at that time.
Yes, yes, sir.
Her demeanor was consistent with having gone through a significant trauma.
For the situation, sure. Yes.
Okay. You said that she went from calmness to agitation. The agitation you accounted for being, I don't necessarily want to go to the hospital. I don't want to be sectioned, correct?
She felt like she didn't need to. It wasn't, she wasn't going to act on her comments about wanting to harm herself.
You called it, I think in a report, it's SI, suicidal ideation.
Correct.
That's obviously of great concern to you and your partners when you're assessing a patient, correct?
That's right.
You don't want to leave someone on their own if they're going to self-harm, correct?
That's correct.
You pretty quickly assessed, I'm guessing, Firefighter Becker, that she was not, in fact, in the position to self-harm, that I think you said that the statements that she originally made, if John dies, I don't want to live, were not necessarily at the level of actual suicidal ideation. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, at the time I believed her because of the information we got and what she went through.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand your answer.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Of course. It's probably my fault. At the time that you assessed her, even though she had made some comments about if John doesn't live, I don't want to live either, you did not elevate that to the level of her being suicidal at that moment.
So I couldn't rule it out, but
okay.
I didn't think it was a huge threat at the time.
Understood.
But
That's
we
what I was trying to get at.
couldn't rule it out, so that's why we had to take her to the hospital.
Understood. I mean, you had a Section 12. You had to take her irrespective of what you ruled in or out, right?
Right.
Okay. Firefighter Whitley was with you in the back of the ambulance the entire time you were with Miss Reed, correct?
Not the entire time. He was before we decided transporting. He was kind of in and out, trying to find more of, talking to the police officers, find more of a story of, what happened, why we're taking the defendant on a Section 12.
Once you and Miss Reed were in the back of the ambulance, Firefighter Whitley then joined you in the back of the ambulance?
He did.
How much time lapsed?
It was a couple minutes at the most.
Okay, so it wasn't a lengthy amount of time.
It wasn't lengthy.
And he was with you during the transport, along with Miss Reed, for the whole transport back to Good Sam.
Yes.
And you said on direct examination, I think your phrase was, all in all, she was cooperative with us.
For the majority of the transport, yes.
Okay. Never became combative, never got physical, nothing like that.
Oh my God, ATS. No, you missed fucking nothing. You missed me falling asleep to the prior witness. That's what you missed. Me snoring.
Like that?
No.
Okay. She did refer to Mr. O'Keefe as her husband or her spouse.
That's correct.
You're aware of HIPAA rules, obviously, you're in the medical field, correct?
Correct.
You were aware at the time that HIPAA rules would demand or dictate that unless you're a spouse or a parent or a child, there's certain rules against getting or providing information to someone who isn't one of those close family members, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You previously indicated on direct examination that, I think your words were,
True.
that Ms. Reed indicated that her last conversation she had with her husband was an argument, correct?
Correct.
You've previously testified about that statement in other particulars, right? Other hearings.
I have.
You're paraphrasing. You didn't write down what she said about her previous interactions with Mr. O'Keefe, and you didn't record those on a tape recorder, correct?
I wrote down in my report that she said she had an argument.
Right. You didn't write them down at the time. That was a bad question on my part. You weren't taking notes as she was speaking.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, it's kind of for every call, we jot down notes on a notepad, just
Okay.
so, when we give the staff a report, we can read off it.
Do you have those notes?
I don't.
Okay. Do you think you took notes or no?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I could have been typing them on the computer. That's what we typed the report on
Okay.
at the time.
Do you have an independent recollection of taking notes, either handwritten or on a computer as you sit here right now?
I couldn't tell you if I did one or the other. Sometimes I write on the computer, sometimes I don't.
Or you might not have written anything down, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in any event, you weren't taking down, even if you were taking notes, you weren't taking down verbatim quotes of what she was saying. You were paraphrasing the information that was coming to you, correct?
That's correct.
All right. You had previously said or testified that the last time, let me rephrase that just a little bit. You previously indicated in recounting what it was that Miss Reed actually said to you was something along the lines of she was upset because her last words to him were because of her last words to him being in anger.
I object.
I'm going to allow the question.
Is that correct?
Well, I probably phrased it a little wrongly. The last words, it was the last conversation.
No.
That wasn't my
No. You phrased it correctly because that's what she said. And that's exactly what happened, was she sent him some really fucking bad voicemails because she was mad at him. And so, no, you worded it correctly, sir. Why the fuck is everybody lying?
My question is a simple one. In a previous hearing, did you use the phrase "her last words to him"?
Yes,
were
I
in
did.
anger?
I did.
And that was at a hearing where you're under oath, just like you are now, correct?
Correct.
That was a little closer in time than we are now. It was maybe a year ago, correct?
Correct.
Actually, my mistake. It was about 2.5 years ago. It was a grand jury, correct?
Grand jury before. Yes.
Okay. And the phrase that you
Grand
used.
jury comes first, and then I went to trial. So yeah, grand jury's before trial. Yes, correct.
Was, and I want to concentrate on that for just a quick second, Firefighter Becker.
Never listened to him.
The phrase that you used at that time was that she said, quote, like her last words to him. She was upset about her, quote, last words to him. Is that right?
I object.
All right, can I see counsel at
You're
sidebar?
objecting because you don't want it to be that. You want it to be that they got in this big fight and she backed up because she was so pissed off at him and hit him.
Please.
Hey, Anita. Fuck you, Brennan. I agree with you.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Like, they're coming on here, they're looking fucking scared, they're looking sickly. Like,
Yes. Thank you.
All eyes.
When you were recounting the conversation that Ms. Reed indicated that she was upset about, you also indicated, in addition to using the phrase, her last words to him, you also said that it was earlier in the night, correct? they had an argument earlier in the night?
I don't recall.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Joanna, that's important because if the last words she sent him after she drops him off, she sends him a bunch of voicemails about how much she hates him and what a piece of shit he is, essentially. So she's over and over again for this person who purposely hit him and killed him, you know, it was because she was mad, is sending him all these angry voicemails. But the Commonwealth wants you to believe that they had an actual argument in the car, leading her to be pissed off and back up into him to hurt him. Not necessarily kill him, but just to hurt him and show him like, hey, I'm the boss, with sideswiping him.
So having an actual conversation with John versus leaving several angry, screaming, and cussing voicemails.
About how much she hates him.
Which one she actually did. The other one, I've heard like trolls like Plevin. I think Jen McCabe might have said it at one time that they had argued in the car. But other than that, there's never been any evidence that that actually happened. But I would say that the Commonwealth is hoping that they can say that it happened because Karen told this dude that it happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
But really, I think she was referring to the voicemails.
But we know that they weren't fighting at the bar. So they're driving there. What I think it was like I'd have to go back and look, but it's like a 7 or 8 minute trip.
He was on the phone with Jen McCabe for some.
On the phone with Jen McCabe, she doesn't hear any fighting in the background.
Well, here's the thing: as they pulled up to the house, Ryan Nagel was behind them. So they pulled up to the house. Then Ryan Nagel pulled up to the house, and when they were turning on the street, everybody in Ryan Nagel's truck saw John inside the car, basically.
Correct.
But when they pulled up to the car or pulled up to 34 Fairview with her car directly in front of them, right behind them, or right behind her, John was not in there. John was not outside the vehicle. Like there was literally no time for them to argue.
Yeah, that's why that was my whole thing. Like there wasn't enough happening to argue about because he's on the phone just trying to figure out where the hell they're going.
Right.
So like the conversation that's happening at the time isn't even something leading to the argument, like to an argument. You see what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense.
And I can't tell if this guy is trying to change it from conversation to last words to conversation now, like on purpose, or if Jackson's questioning is intimidating him, making it seem like Ray's trying to correct what he said now because he thinks that Jackson is trying to confront him on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which he is, but he's not really trying to confront him on it. He's just basically trying to confirm that Karen said that to him, that her last words to him basically were awful.
Right.
Which will lead into explaining the voicemails.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, take a look at the top paragraph, very, very small print. Let me know when you've refreshed your recollection.
Yes.
Great. May I approach?
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
You got it.
When you wrote your report, you had indicated that when she was describing the argument that you testified to on direct, it was about an argument that was, quote, earlier in the night.
Earlier in the night, correct.
Okay. And then you recounted that statement, that same statement in the grand jury later on as at least including, quote, her last words. Is that right?
Her last words.
You were talking about an argument that they had, and then she was upset, and you were paraphrasing her. And one of the things that you paraphrased was, in fact, your statement was she was upset that was like her last words to him, correct?
She said that.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Were you also made aware, did she tell you that her last words to him were in voicemails? Did she say that?
She didn't give any details.
Did you ask her, what were your last words to him?
I did not.
Did she ever say whether or not she believed he ever received her last words to him?
There's no
i.e. in
other
voicemail?
details than
Say that
there was no
again?
other details other than what she said.
Okay. But she did, when she was having this conversation with you about her last words to him, she did actually take out her phone and show you a bunch of missed calls to him at the same time, didn't she?
She tried to, yes.
Okay. In your mind, did you put two and two together that what she was actually talking about were the missed calls and her being upset about her last words to him, being very angry on those missed calls, those voicemails? Did you put those two things together?
I didn't.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Brennan?
So when Ms. Reed told you that she was sad because her last conversation, her last thing that she had said to him was an argument, did she ever suggest that was in a voicemail?
Objection.
She did. She did suggest it when she showed you the fucking phone logs where she was calling him. That is suggesting that they were in voicemails.
Voicemail.
She did not.
Did she ever suggest that she didn't actually speak to him, but instead it was some type of message?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Did she ever suggest that?
She did not.
In fact, you wrote a report saying that there was an argument earlier in the night, didn't you?
Objection. Your Honor.
Sustained.
You then were interviewed, weren't you? You
Yes.
interviewed on February 14th, 2022?
Yes.
And you referred to the fact that she told you there was an argument earlier in the night?
Argument early in the night.
And she was telling you this when you were speaking to her that morning?
Correct. Around 6 a.m.
Right.
Yes.
And earlier in the night, do you know if she was referring to 12:30
I did not know.
or 12:15
No,
or midnight?
I didn't know the time.
So his answer is he doesn't know.
You testified in the grand jury, and Attorney Jackson just asked you some questions about part of the statement you made to the grand jury when he said, like her last words. Would you like to put that in context of the whole statement you made? Do you remember
Her last words?
Do you remember the entire statement that you made in the grand jury about the statement that was made to you?
I'd have to.
May I approach?
Yes.
This is page 81, lines 1 through 4. Please read it to yourself.
Right here, sir.
1 through 4, please.
Hank looks like Sheldon Cooper right here.
God, he just bugs the shit out of me. I can't stand that guy.
Yes.
Now, when you made that statement you were asked about in the grand jury, you didn't just say, like her last words, did you?
No.
You explained your memory to the grand jury?
Objection.
Ask him what he told the grand jury.
Okay. The grand jury, do you know it was on April 21st, 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And did you tell the grand jury? So she
Objection.
I'm
was-
going to see counsel at sidebar for a second, please.
Yeah. Why don't you shut up, Hank?
So I'm showing you that statement that you made that includes the last words, but there's more to the statement, isn't there?
She was upset.
I'd like you to read
Oh,
your
sorry.
entire
Sure.
statement, 1 through 5. You can read it out loud.
So she was also she was upset also because she said they had, the last time they had talked, she had gotten into an argument. So she was upset that was like her last words to him.
So never any of his last words, or he was in the argument. It was she
No.
was in the
So when you
argument
were
and her
speaking
last
of
word.
her-
Right. Not like the last things they said to each other were mean and hateful, even though she
Yeah,
knows
or they
love each
argued
other.
back and forth. Yeah.
No. They're just trying to change the fucking narrative, and it's irritating.
Last word to him, were you referring to the argument?
Correct.
You testified again regarding this issue, didn't you, in May 3rd, 2024?
Correct.
And at that point, did you think or believe that the conversation she was relating to you was about a voicemail?
Objection.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Did you use the word again on May 3rd, 2024, argument?
Objection.
I'm going to allow this.
I used argument.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can I ask you to read your prior statement on page 10, lines 9 through 13?
Objection.
I'm going to see you at sidebar again and bring these documents, please. Bring all of it.
Oh, Jesus. Right. So Hank is having to really try to push this narrative.
May I?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sir, when you wrote the report of your notes to put in your report, do you remember
What did he just ask him?
the report of your thank you.
Hold on.
May I?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sir, when you wrote the report of your notes to put in your report,
When you wrote the report with your notes to put in your report.
do you remember the word argument?
I did.
Do you remember her actually saying the word argument?
I did.
Do you remember her ever saying any word about voice messages?
I did not.
You said that there was somebody in the front seat of the car with the defendant,
It was.
and you later learned from the defendant it was a person by the name of Kerry Roberts.
Correct.
Can you share with us the context? How did you learn that?
The defendant and my partner, firefighter Whitley, had a conversation.
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
Oh, God.
So the defendant brought up how if her husband had died at the time, she didn't know how she was going to take care of his kids.
Objection.
I'm going to allow this.
And
Fucking bad.
firefighter Whitley mentioned that she had like a strong support system. You know, all the friends are on Canton, and
Objection. Angry approach.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not going well. Why doesn't she do a whole, like, we need to speed this up, move this along? Just stay at the fucking sidebar until you guys figure your shit out. How about that? The whole issue here is that Brennan prepped this guy to this is the question I'm going to ask you. This is the answer I want you to give. This is the question I'm going to ask you. This is the answer I want you to give. And this guy isn't doing what Brennan prepped him to do.
When you spoke to the defendant and she shared with you that her last words with her husband were an argument, why didn't you ask for more detail about that?
I didn't feel it was my, At the time, we went about the call as that we didn't, think we would be
You're gonna have a fucking heart attack.
witnesses in a murder trial. We were there to support Karen and ultimately get to the hospital safely.
And you were asked about trauma.
Interesting.
That you observed that the person may be in.
What part did you find interesting?
Well, everything you just said there was like really kind. It was very kind. It seemed like the most genuine thing that's been said this whole time. But also, he called her Karen
Yeah, instead of the defendant.
or Miss Reed.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why this guy is sweating bullets, because he just wants to go up there and just be like, I do this job because I just wanted to come in and we were there to help her. And, all the other stuff wasn't important. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't going to kill herself. Like, that was really all I wanted to do. Like, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was going to be here, and I didn't know I was going to be here again.
And I think that people forget that, like, not every Commonwealth witness wants to be a witness. Like, they've just been subpoenaed by the Commonwealth. It doesn't mean that they want to. They just don't want to go to jail for not showing up. So it can be really, you can become torn in what they want you to say versus what the truth is. And then you have what you have right here, where he just keeps asking the same fucking question over and over and over and over and
not
over.
answering the way he was supposed to.
Right.
So he's going to ask him
It's
until
probably going to be done here in a second. Like, Hank's probably, after he said that and called her Karen.
Keep an
and
eye
not
on this
Miss
guy's
Reed.
career after this.
Yeah.
Because he just looks like he's about to keel over. He's just like, I can't handle the pressure.
Trauma, Miss Reed.
A traumatic event,
Traumatic event.
Right.
Do you have any idea what caused that traumatic event?
I did not.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Anything?
Very briefly, you indicated that you were asked on redirect examination by Mr. Brennan whether earlier in the night could have been 12 or 12:15 a.m., correct?
That's what he asked, yes.
And earlier in the night could have been 6 o'clock p.m.
Early in the night, yeah, correct.
Could have been 5 o'clock p.m.
Could have been.
Could have been 7 o'clock p.m.
Sure.
Okay. You were also asked whether or not Ms. Reed actually specifically mentioned voicemails when she talked about those last words. And you said she didn't,
That I remember, correct.
but she did show you her phone.
She tried to.
And she did show you a bunch of missed calls to John O'Keefe, correct?
I wasn't going to look through her phone. I don't know who she called.
Thank you. That's all.
When she said about the argument, she said those were the last words, the argument, right?
That's correct.
Sustained. All right.
Hi.
Jurors disregard
Such
that loss.
Bitch.
All right, you are all set.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Is this a good place to stop for the day?
If the court pleases, yes.
Jurors, we could do 6 minutes, but I think this is probably a good place to stop. Why don't you-
They're at the sidebar. Are we going to hear anything else they have to say? Or no? I miss the other guy back here. No, I don't think so. I think we're done. I think we're done with that. Jeez. That poor guy. Look at this one. I just really fucking feel bad for him. I'm tired of this grandpa. Hold on. What did he say? Rewind. Hold on. I missed you, Sleuthie. Sorry. What did who say? Which one?
Responsible and had gathered evidence on him.
Oh,
I didn't ask for you, Vinny. What you doing? See? Yeah.
Wait, what was the last thing that the dude said where somebody asked to
Last words
strike?
with, her husband were an argument. Why didn't you ask for more detail about that?
I didn't feel it was my.
Do this morning, and I've told you other times too that
Nope.
when
I lied.
Redirect examination by Mr. Brennan, whether earlier in the night could have been 12 or 12:15 a.m., correct?
That's what he asked. Yes.
And earlier in the night could have been 6 o'clock p.m.
Early in the
Friday
night. Yeah, correct.
Could have been 5 o'clock p.m.
Could have been.
Could have been 7 o'clock p.m.
Sure.
Okay. You were also asked whether or not Ms. Reed actually specifically mentioned voicemails when she talked about those last words. And you said she didn't,
That I remember. Correct.
but she did show you her phone.
She tried to.
And she did show you a bunch of missed calls to John O'Keefe, correct?
I wasn't going to look through her phone. I don't know who she called.
Thank you. That's all.
When she said about the argument, she said those were the last words, the argument, right?
That's correct.
Sustained.
First of all, why did Hank get to ask another question?
Because it was redirect.
No, you don't do that. You have to ask for that. That's not, you get.
Normally she just offers it. Normally she's like, okay, do you have anything else? Do you have anything else? Okay, we're done. Okay. Thank you for your testimony.
Yeah,
No, he purposely wanted to get that in there, and she sustained it after his objection. But he wants it to be this argument that they physically had causing her to hit the car. He is pushing that so fucking hard.
I'm surprised he's not showing a voice or playing a voicemail or showing a video before they leave for the day.
I know, right? Especially since they're going to have the weekend. Well, I mean, he played all the how drunk she was videos before they went to go see the car in the house intentionally. So I don't know what he has planned for Monday. So maybe he doesn't need them. Maybe he doesn't need to plan to seed. Yeah, remember when trials used to have evidence? We don't do that anymore. We don't do that. We don't do that anymore. That's like so like the 1900s. Like, and I don't know what you're doing.
Well,
We're
today's
place.
Sunday. I hope they have better witnesses tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
Or Monday. Or there's
Monday?
no Monday either.
There is no Monday. It's ARCA's.
Oh,
board
yeah,
night.
but we get ARCA Monday, so that'll be good.
Yeah, that's always fun anyway. But yeah, but still no jury Monday.
Are you sure it's not a half day
Oh,
Monday?
it's a half day. You know, like that's what Grace Base said too. Oh, it's a half a day and then ARCA. Okay, so there will be some. I don't know who who they're going to have on there. So it's a half a day plus ARCA. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking it was just ARCA for a half a day. Jury is not sequestered. Okay, so have you guys seen this interview with Carrie Roberts on Good Morning America?
No.
So it's dated April 23rd.
Yeah, but what's she?
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. So that's why I was trying to see if you guys had seen it. If you knew anything more about maybe if she says something in it.
She was with Reed when they.
I'm wondering if she said something in it about already testifying or about to testify. Like, I don't know when they recorded it and when they air, versus when they aired it, or if it was Good Morning America's normally like live.
Yeah, but if this had been since the trial started, like since the jury was sworn in, she wouldn't be able to do that. So,
yeah.
Well, we'll see what she says.
Okay.
And what she's wearing.
Okay, so Kindness Cake says, yes, seen it. It didn't age well at all. I thought it was right before. I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out. So I don't have an answer of when it was actually filmed. I was wondering if you could tell by the context of what context clues of what she's saying.
Like if this was done the morning of the second day of her testimony, like that's not great. Like the defense, I wouldn't know why the defense wouldn't make a big stink about this because she's sequestered. She's not supposed to be watching anything about the trial and definitely not participating.
That's what, maybe she says something in there, or there's a question like, okay, with the upcoming trial, how do you feel?
Yeah.
We'll watch it and see if there's anything that comes out. Unless one of you guys happens to actually know, one way or the other, because I don't. I have not seen it.
Found the body of her Boston police officer boyfriend. She's now to an ABC News exclusive with a key witness in the Karen Reed murder retrial who took the stand yesterday during the first day of.
Oh my fucking God.
Never mind. I guess we just have to hit the play button.
Well, wait, maybe, well, he's saying that, but maybe he is playing a pre-recorded thing. So let's just see.
Okay.
Testimony. She was with Reed when they found the body of her Boston police officer boyfriend. She spoke with our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, George. Carrie Roberts is arguably the most important witness in this trial, but she agreed to speak with us because she wants to refocus attention on the actual victim in this case. That's her childhood friend, John O'Keefe, the Boston cop who adopted his toddler-age niece and nephew when his sister and brother-in-law tragically died. A prankster who would help you at the drop of a hat.
Free Karen Reed! Free Karen Reed!
Arriving in court for the first day of her second murder trial, Karen Reed addressing her supporters.
I'm always confident in my team.
Reed's defense team maintains she's innocent, the victim of a law enforcement cover-up. But prosecutors allege Reed, drunk and angry, knowingly slammed her SUV into her boyfriend, police officer John O'Keefe, outside a get-together at another cop's home, leaving him to die in a blizzard in January of 2022. And this morning, one of the trial's key witnesses, Carrie Roberts, John O'Keefe's lifelong friend, speaking to the media for the first time, exclusively to GMA.
You're obviously one of the key witnesses for the entire case. Why are you speaking out now on the eve of Karen's second trial?
I think people.
Okay, there you go.
So she wasn't yet. So the next day she would have been. So that answers that.
Right. So it's only like we thought the same thing. We were asking ourselves the exact same question when she took the stand.
But also, if she's supposedly the most important, the key witness, then I hate to tell you, so far I don't know if I've seen a harder flop.
If the key witness commits perjury.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much harder you could flop.
She's not the key witness. I think they were trying. That was definitely a narrative at that time.
People have forgotten John in general. He is the victim. He's lost his life. He's not coming back.
Roberts took the stand yesterday and will continue testifying today. She is a critical witness for the prosecution because she was the first person Karen Reed called at 5 a.m. the morning of the blizzard trying to find John.
Well, supposedly that's not true.
She said, what?
What are you talking about? I thought Jen was the first one that got called.
We've heard both.
No. Jen supposedly got a call on Kaylee's phone, from Kaylee's phone, and it was Karen at 4:45 or whatever.
It's because it's Kaylee's phone, so Kaylee called her.
Well, it doesn't matter if she called from the potato phone out in the driveway. Whoever got a call first got the call first. And supposedly Jen did, and Carrie didn't get one until 5 o'clock.
Right, but that's the first one that Karen calls from Karen's phone.
Oh, if we're gonna parse words like that.
Well, that's what they're doing about this argument.
No, she just wants to be the special one. I'm the first one that she thought to call when she couldn't find my childhood friend.
Yeah,
don't forget about John.
Where she told me that he was dead.
Yeah, don't forget about John, but I'm going to sit here and make this entirely about me. Whatever, dude. She looks like a fool now. I would hope that she would regret. Imagine all these years, and after the first trial, you don't do any interviews, but you decide to do an interview with Good Morning America, and then you flop so hard. Like my own stomach stings from how hard she flopped. So
this I could not agree with more. Everybody who keeps saying I'm making this about John keeps making it about themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
It's never about John.
Even on the stand, even the ones who say it on the stand.
Right. And it'll piss people off, but even his own mom. It wasn't about John.
What? Another O'Keefe friend.
And Karen called Carrie.
I'm always confident in my team.
Reed's defense team maintains she's innocent, the victim of a law enforcement cover-up. But prosecutors allege Reed, drunk and angry, knowingly slammed her SUV into her boyfriend, police officer John O'Keefe, outside a get-together at another cop's home, leaving him to die in a blizzard in January of 2022. And this morning, one of the trial's key witnesses, Kerry Roberts, John O'Keefe's lifelong friend, speaking to the media for the first time, exclusively to GMA.
You're obviously one of the key witnesses for the entire case. Why are you speaking out now on the eve of Karen's second trial?
I think people have forgotten John in general. He is the victim. He's lost his life. He's not coming back.
Roberts took the stand yesterday and will continue testifying today. She is a critical witness for the prosecution because she was the first person Karen Reed called at 5 a.m. the morning of the blizzard trying to find John.
Can you tell me what she said, what Karen told Kerry that morning when she called?
I believe she said, was that the first time she called John's dead?
Yes.
Kerry relayed to Brendan Kane.
Oh, that wasn't weird.
The contents of her call that morning. With
He doesn't
Karen
even
Reed.
know. He has to ask her, which one was it? Which one was it?
Yet it was so loud. She was so loud she woke her husband up, which, you know, that was a Jen story the first time around.
What is this?
I have no idea.
The contents of her call that morning with Karen Reed.
When Karen called Kerry,
Carrie's sitting right there. Why is he telling us what Karen said to Carrie?
John's dead. John's dead. I think he got hit by a plow. Kerry, John's dead. Is that right?
The first phone call was
Yeah.
John's dead. Then she hung up.
So that early morning, Kerry picked up Karen and another O'Keefe friend, Jennifer McCabe.
I knew of her. I had met her once, and that was it.
They drive to the house where Karen dropped John off. It's dark in a blinding blizzard.
It was so snowy, you couldn't see. And as we were driving, Karen would lean in between us, and she was frantic. I mean, she knew John was missing, so she was frantic about it, as I would be. And then we turned to pull down Fairview, and she saw him on the lawn, and I didn't.
Kerry quickly joins Karen on the lawn, and the two women perform CPR on John until police arrive.
We went to go find him and make sure he got home okay. And when you find him and he's not okay, it was pretty hard.
Kerry and Johns were friends since childhood. So was Brendan Kane.
He was a diehard Celtics, Sox, Bruins, Pats fan. Name it, Boston sports. He was obsessed.
O'Keefe became a cop.
Oh, that's not even, dude.
His family.
That's
Wait.
not even her. That's not even
That's
her
not her.
husband. So why is he? Carrie's sitting right there. Why is he answering for what Karen told Carrie that morning when she called?
She can't be interviewed about that.
Why?
Yeah, that's
But then
not-
he says, "Is that right?" And then she responds whether it is or not.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back.
Down Fairview, and she saw him on the lawn, and I didn't.
Kerry quickly joins Karen on the lawn, and the two women perform CPR on John until police arrive.
We went to go find him and make sure he got home okay. And when you find him and he's not okay, it was pretty hard.
Kerry and Johns were friends since.
Carrie and Johns.
Carrie and Johns were friends.
Okay.
There you go. There's their high school dance.
Is that them?
Uh-huh.
Are you
That's
sure?
Carrie and John.
You sure?
Yeah.
Childhood, so was Brendan Kane.
He was a diehard Celtics, Sox, Bruins, Pats fan. Name it, Boston sports. He was obsessed.
O'Keefe became a cop like his grandfather, staying close to his family, including his sister Kristen. When she and her husband died within months of each other, John took his niece and nephew in as his own. Kerry was his right hand.
It was like all hands on deck when they would go to dance recitals and stuff. Father-daughter dances. I would do their hair and get the boutonniere and get the corsage, and he did a great job. This was one of my best friends.
In the 3 years since Reed was arrested, the town of Canton has been
So until
transformed.
Karen came around, and then once Karen was around, she could do that stuff for him, and you got jealous.
Right.
Okay.
Sides, witnesses have been harassed.
For the crime of?
Telling the truth.
Answering the phone.
It's my friend. I'm not going to not help. It's all about which side are you on? We're John's closest friends and family, and we're still haven't been able to grieve because of all of this. It's all lost.
It's not about what side you're on. I think that's where the issue comes into this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's about the fucking truth. and it's been turned into what side you're on, but it's not. It's about the fucking truth. But nobody cares to hear that anymore. Because they hate her. They're so blinded by their hatred of Karen Reed, they don't care about the truth.
She literally said that people forget John and that he's the victim. And now she's talking about how she and they haven't gotten to grieve and that it's about what side you're on. And like, has she talked really about John at all yet?
No.
We still have some time, don't we?
Not much, but yeah.
So they said that he was, so the other guy said he
family and
like sports.
Taking sides.
Right.
Okay.
Witnesses have been harassed for the crime of
telling the truth.
Who ends up committing perjury on the stand?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Fucking clip that.
Bring the phone.
It's my friend. I'm not going to not help. It's all about which side are you on? We're John's closest friends and family, and we're still haven't been able to grieve because of all of this. It's all lost on this circus.
Why did John want to become a cop?
Johnny believed in fairness. Johnny believed in justice. And he'd be appalled at where we are 3.5 years later.
Ew, you're gross.
Kerry Roberts is part of a group of witnesses who's
No, I actually agree. He probably would be appalled where we are 3.5 years later because he believed in justice.
But
which means he also believes in the Constitution, which also means that he believes in double jeopardy, which also means that we shouldn't be here with the lack of evidence and exactly what's going on with Karen Reed currently. Yeah.
But you know that's not why he said that.
That's not why he said it. No. But
that's gross. Yet, so are we done? And all you said about John was that what you just said there, and that he likes sports.
Yes.
Okay. But we started this off by saying that everybody forgets about John. Yet everybody that says they know him and are all tore up about it don't want to tell us nothing about him.
Right. Just about them. Let's get the unedited, uncut version of that interview because it's more than.
Testimony points to Karen knowing that she hit John O'Keefe with her car. And one key difference that we picked up on this time, the defense still says that there was a botched investigation and a cover-up. But this time around, they're no longer hinting that there was some sort of big police conspiracy afoot. Now, it's unclear how long this trial will last. That first trial took 9 weeks. So buckle up, guys.
Could be.
I think they're still talking about the fact that the issue is that the law enforcement is completely tied in with the Alberts. So there's a reason for them to do all of this. I mean, that was part of the opening statement. So. Where is her? Here.
Can't believe it's not good.
So this is her 911 call at 5 a.m. before they find John. So after she gets the call where Karen says that he's dead, this is her phone call.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm calling because my friend's boyfriend did not come home last night. They were at Waterfall.
Her friend's boyfriend, meaning Karen is her friend, not John.
And now she is calling me hysterical because she doesn't know where he is. You didn't pick anybody up by the name of John O'Keefe, did you?
John O'Keefe?
Yeah, he's a Boston cop, and he would be on foot, but
no.
I think he probably got a ride and passed out at someone's house. I don't know, but...
Yep, no, we didn't lock anybody up or anything like that. And where does he live?
He lives on Meadow, right off of Pleasant.
He lives on Meadow, off of Pleasant. Okay, and is the wife home? You said his girlfriend?
It's his girlfriend, yeah. They were out having drinks, and then she left and expected him to come home at some point, and he never did.
Yep.
And so I said to her, my husband had been out with him earlier in the night, but then he came home, and he has custody of his niece and nephew because their parents passed away.
Okay.
And so she's home with the niece and nephew, and they're old enough to be home. It's just she's nervous because he never even called the niece.
Yeah.
So she's like, I feel like something happened. And I said, okay. Well, so he called the area hospital. Nobody has him. I personally think someone probably picked him up and he passed out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He didn't drive last night?
No.
No. Okay. Again, it's more. It would be driven by. She would have to, call in, or come to the station, and talk to us. But I mean, as of right now, it's more. He just didn't come home last night. Is this common sometimes? Exactly. Happen with him?
No. That's why. Since he didn't call his niece. That's kind of why she's more freaking out. So I figured I called the area hospitals. I said I would call Canton police just to make sure he didn't get picked up. But like I said, he's a Boston police officer. He knows a bunch of people. Anybody could have picked him up.
Yeah.
Sleeping it off.
Okay.
Apparently they were having a blizzard party of some sort.
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, I wasn't there. I was stuck here. But we didn't get any calls, anything like that. Nobody was arrested or anything like that. Okay. All righty.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. No problem. Good luck.
Okay.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
How many times did you guys hear Carrie say that Karen called her and said, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead? And how frantic Karen was about him being dead. Or she says, John's dead. John's dead. That is like the huge narrative. The first call. What did he say on the first call? Oh, John's dead. John's dead. John's dead. And hangs up the phone. She calls 911. Did you guys? They're apparently having some blizzard party. Hee hee. I don't know. He's got a ton of friends. I'm sure he's fine. He's just like over with somebody else. But she calls and says, John's dead, and hangs up the phone.
And that he got hit by a plow.
Yeah, or that she thinks he was walking home and he could have gotten hit by a plow or something.
We should play the 911 call.
That was the 911 call.
No, that was the non-emergency call that she made.
Oh, that she made. You want to play the? Well, I mean, I still.
Jen's 911 call. Because when they play it at trial, you're not going to be able to hear it. I mean, it don't sound nothing like it does here.
We can play hers.
No inclusive score line.
I went through it and put all these fucking things in to figure out what the hell they were saying. It was so stupid. Yeah. Okay. So this is now Jen McCabe's 911 call after they find John. So true. The other one is the non-emergency. I don't know. I still call it a 911 call.
So according to Carrie's testimony, Jen in this call was standing technically outside the car with the back tailgate open, but outside. And oh no, that's the recorded one. So never mind. Go ahead and play this one.
Oh, I don't have the other one. I guess I can go find it. We did that last time, and I couldn't remember who. I don't remember who had the best one. Was it Aiden? I don't know. This, yeah, that's the one, because there's two versions of this, because it gets picked up on John's voicemail because the phone is still on in the back seat of the car.
Yeah, and it doesn't to me sound like she's outside the car. It sounds like she's right there.
Well, she's inside the car for sure, because it's picking up exactly what she's saying.
But
and the windshield wipers are going. She's not going to hear the windshield wipers going from the back, from being at the back tailgate of the car. No.
Yeah, but that other recording is the recording of this phone call we're about to listen to.
Right. Well, I don't think she's outside
Carrie
the car. She's inside the car.
Carrie said she was not inside the car, that this call was made outside of the car, standing at the back tailgate with the tailgate open.
All right, well, you guys can hear this one, and then I'll see if I can find the other one. The difference on the other one is what's said right at the very end of it.
But it absolutely, to me, the one that recorded her making this 911 call absolutely sounded to me like she was inside the car. But Carrie testified otherwise.
Okay. Well, Grace Space is like, well, you can't hear the windshield wipers on the 911 call. You can hear it on the voicemail. Okay. Well, let's play it.
What is your emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man passed out in the snow.
All right, you're in Canton. Hold on. I'm going to transfer over to Canton, please. You're connected to Norwood, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the towers. That's right. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. You need, you got to get here ASAP, okay?
All right, I'm going to transfer on the line. I'm going to transfer to Canton.
Okay. I know. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Carrie.
911, what's emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow?
A guy. There's a guy unresponsive in the snow. Just a guy.
34.
He passed out, yes. 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Canton, Mass, yes.
911, that's not recorded. Where's your emergency? Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Is he blue at all?
You've got to get here, okay?
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay.
We just flipped him over. We just flipped him over.
And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
Okay, that's his girlfriend. His name is John O'Keefe.
Okay, how old is he?
John is 46 years old.
46. How long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and
is he breathing?
A couple of hours. Is he Carrie? Is he? I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical.
Okay, can you just try to ask him? I know it's tough, but we already have the fire department going.
She said they're hysterical. Remember, only Karen is hysterical, and Karen's the crazy one. According to Jennifer, they're both hysterical. Then she never, ever, this entire call will say that he is a cop. Or, hey, my family lives here, and my brother-in-law is a cop. Or the guy across the street is also a cop. Let me go get them because they're first responders and can be here within 3 seconds. Yeah, Carrie testifies that she pulls all this snow off of his face. Yep.
Oh, they just got to know.
Okay. Is he breathing, you guys? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay, do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
Can you guys, Carrie, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
Okay, they don't feel comfortable doing so?
Right.
No, I guess they can't do CPR. I guess he's gone.
I think he's passed away.
Okay. All right, we got the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and if anything changes, you can give us a call back. Where are you guys outside?
Oh, right out front. You'll see the car. I know. I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know, honey. I know.
He's not
So, Carrie, you got to get off him, honey. Carrie, you got to get off of him.
Carrie, you have to get off of him.
Do you know if there was any alcohol or drugs involved?
They had been out.
They've been out drinking?
Yes, but I'm talking hours ago, maybe. And I think I don't know how long he's been in the snow.
Okay. Is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe he hit his head out?
Yes, possibly. There seems to be bleeding in the face.
Okay, bleeding from the face. All right.
Yes.
And how big's the pool of blood, if there is any?
Something's coming out of his nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay, one of the women is doing CPR?
Yes, they're both working on him.
All right, if she's doing CPR, just just give us a call back if he becomes responsive, right? But we're on the way.
Okay, thank you.
Let me say.
You want to hear that part again? Here, hold on.
No, police is equivalent. All right, if she's doing CPR, just give us a call back if he becomes responsive, right? But we're on the way.
Okay, thank you.
That was before that, sorry.
10 hours ago, maybe. And I think I don't know how long he's been in the snow.
Okay. Is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe he hit his head out?
Yes, possibly. There seems to be bleeding in the face.
Okay, bleeding from the face. All right.
Yes.
And how big's the pool of blood, if there is any?
Something's coming out of his nose, and one of the women is doing CPR.
Okay, one of the women is doing CPR?
Yes, they're both working on him.
All right, if she's doing CPR, just let me, just give us a call back if he becomes responsive, right? But we're on the way.
Okay, thank you.
Let me say.
I've never heard such a thing.
To hit your head out? I've never heard that either.
Well, he said hit his head on, and then he stopped himself and said hit his head out. So that makes absolutely no fucking sense. And I've never heard a 911 operator, like, why is that person not coming to the stand? Because I would want to know where their protocol is that says that someone tells you someone's not breathing and they're working on him, they're doing CPR, and you say, okay, call us back if he becomes responsive, but an ambulance is coming.
Right. She keeps saying that he's dead. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. Like, the one who's saying he's dead is her. Remember, Karen's like, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? And they have to say no.
We're about to head out. I know what that phrase means, but he was asking her if he hit his head on, and then instead of saying something or whatever, he said hit his head out.
Yeah. Okay, we're about to head out. Yeah, that's not what he says.
Okay, is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe hit his head out?
Yes, possibly.
Hit his head out?
Bleeding in the face.
Okay.
He probably meant to say on, but.
Okay, bleeding from the face. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think the call itself is necessarily what's the suspect. It's everything that's changed since the call too. And the biggest issue I have with the call is that she doesn't say she knows who he is. She says there's just a man that's unresponsive in the snow. Not, oh my God, my friend of all these years, because that's what she tries to say on the stand is, that was my friend. It was my friend. And then she doesn't bother to say, hey, like, this guy's a cop. Like, there's a cop on the lawn, and my brother-in-law on my brother-in-law's lawn, who's also a cop.
Yeah. Well, the flipping over, I don't think they found him face down. I think they probably, first of all, we were also told that she helped do CPR, and clearly she did not. She's saying that the other people did. They're working on him. They're doing this. They're doing CPR. She tells them that they're doing CPR, but then when he says, does anyone know how to do CPR or want to attempt to do CPR? She says, no, they don't. But then goes back to again saying that they are doing CPR. But I think when she says that we just flipped him over, I think she probably wasn't involved in that. They probably like lifted him up, put the blankets under him or wrapped around his head or whatever, and then laid him back down.
There's her like little baby blankets though. And she says, we just flipped him over. And she just got the blankets.
She does say baby blankets in her testimony, but if you remember the dash camera, it looks like once they leave, like once they get John in the ambulance, she goes over and grabs it. It looks like a big white sheet, not a baby blanket.
Hold on, I'm gonna go back and see because the very beginning she's getting the blankets.
Squirrel, what is your emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man passed out in the snow.
You're in Canton? Hold on. I'm going to transfer over to Canton, please. You're connected to Norwood, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
It's the towers. Stay on the line.
I think he's dead. You need, you got to get here ASAP, okay?
All right, I'm going to transfer on the line. I'm going to transfer to Canton.
Okay. I know. Where are the blankets? I don't see blankets, Terry.
So now we're getting blankets.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at
He
34?
passed out, yes, 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
Okay, 34 Fairview?
34 Fairview, Canton, Mass, yes.
911 is on recorded. Where's your emergency?
Dude, the amount of transfers is absolutely fucking
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you
outrageous.
come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton?
34 Fairview?
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Is he blue at all?
Yeah, you've got to get here, okay?
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay, so is he face down? We just flipped him over. Like, he's no longer face down. No? You don't think that?
I don't know. I don't know why he would be face down.
Because I think he was face down. I think that's how he was out there, was face down. Let me see. Karen Reed, 911 call caught on voicemail. Let me see.
I agree with that, Richard. He said the 911 operator asking if he was face down and asking if he had hit his head is really specific questions for someone who doesn't know what's going on. Well, they don't really know, Grace Face, right? Like, so she says here, we just flipped him over. So when all the first responders come, he is already on his back.
Okay, here's the leaked one, apparently. This is the one that's from the voicemail of John O'Keefe. Let me see. I don't know how the sound is. So you can hear the windshield wipers.
Okay, I know. Where's the blanket? I don't see blanket, Carrie. Yes, I need some.
Why do I remember you could hear way more? I don't, maybe.
John is 46 years old. I don't know. He's been out of the car and it could be an operator. Carrie? I did. I know I'm on the phone with the ambulance. I know, honey.
Okay, there's got to be another one because I'm telling you, you could hear more in the one that I remember listening to last year.
Try microdots.
Okay. That's the best fucking meme ever, by the way. They posted that on Twitter. That is the best shit right there. All right. It should be right in here, no? I don't see it. I don't see it. Does microdots have it?
I thought they did.
I thought they did too, but
Maybe it's in the video though.
It could be. It might be. Maybe it's in this one. It might be in this one.
We have many more videos.
3 months ago.
Oh, maybe.
It might be in this one.
Yeah, I think it is.
You guys are following Karen Reed's case. You need to be subscribed to Microdots. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think this is it.
No, police are square line. What is your emergency?
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. There's a man passed out in the snow. There's a guy unresponsive in the snow. He got out of the car and a couple of hours. I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical. Well, they had been out.
They've been out drinking.
Yes, but I'm talking hours ago, maybe. And I think I don't know how long he's been in the snow.
Okay, is there any bleeding or anything? Maybe hit his head out?
Yes, possibly. There seems to be bleeding in the face. I guess he's gone.
We're on the way.
It's me. It's me. You're right. Stay out of sight. Stay out of sight. The police are on the way. Yeah, we're not ours. Listen. I'll send him Brian's number now.
Yeah, now this is getting into a whole different part of the story that we haven't touched on yet in this trial, but
Yeah, I was looking.
Yeah.
I could have swore, unless it's on their Twitter. He might have put it on Twitter, but I don't know any fast way to find that unless he marked it like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all right. We can play it a different day too. Because Jen hasn't even testified yet, so
that'll be fun.
Be smart they don't put her on the stand.
Nicole is. Are we talking about the case?
Yeah, because on here it's the Microdot's video is Jen calling Nicole. Nicole's her sister.
Oh.
It's Nicole Albert, who lives inside 34 Fairview, who's married to Brian Albert, who's the cop, who's now retired. So yeah, that's why I'm like, this is getting into stuff that some of you guys won't know anything about. So, that's fine. Like I said, it's not a big deal. We can work on finding it, and that way we can play it for you at that point. But it's just that it's the same audio. It's just captured on John O'Keefe's phone, so it's from a different, obviously, angle, and then it continues to go after Jen hangs up with 911, which is the big deal because that's when she's calling her sister, and they're saying that the sister didn't answer the phone, but the call records show that she did answer the phone and had like a 9-second call with her.
Mm-hmm. Like a 9-second and a 7-second.
Yeah, and that's why. So in that video, what Microdots is doing is trying to show you can have a conversation. Don't come out here. I'm going to send him the number. All right, I'll call you back. That's it. Like, it's super simple. You can have the conversation and still relay what you need to relay. Because the big thing is, why aren't you coming outside? Why don't any of those people come outside?
If she was going to bust in their house without knocking and just go through the door at 6:30, why didn't she do it?
Right.
30 minutes before at 6 o'clock when she needed help.
Right.
And you're telling me a cop leaves his door unlocked?
Right. Lacey, if you want, there's like an 8-hour video that I did with Dietz and Nunya, and we go into anything and everything you needed to know about the case prior to trial number 1. It will tell you who all the players are, who all the people are. It's just a really fucking long video. That's the best thing I can tell you to do. I don't know of a documentary that was made by anybody, even Microdots, that tells you just the story as social media would know it. Does that make sense? Outside of already being predetermined what they thought. Does that make sense? Because I didn't have an opinion going into the first trial. I didn't have I wasn't innocent. I wasn't guilty. I wasn't nothing. So I'd say that's probably the best video. It was a really good video. I mean, it was just a lot. It's a lot of information. So, okay. Anything else we want to talk about for today? And Travis asked if we were going to do a weekly recap. I can't tonight, Travis. We have family in from Arizona, so we're going to be doing a barbecue for them. So I cannot do a live tonight.
I don't think so. Monday should be good.
Yeah, Monday should be good. All right. Anything else you guys have in chat that you want to talk about before we wrap up for the day? We'll find that. We'll find a good audio of that voicemail, so that way when we talk about Jen McCabe next, we can play it. I'll give you a pass this time.
This time.
I'm still really upset that you have a chocolate peanut butter cake or pie that I don't get to have any of.
It's still freezing. I'm trying to avoid it. What time is it? Right?
Just go. It doesn't even need to freeze it. Just go fucking eat it.
It was really good. It was the little bit that I licked off the thing was really good.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you guys later then. Go enjoy your Friday. Go enjoy your weekend. I will not be around much this weekend because, like I said, we have family in, and then Kaylee has competition on Sunday. So I won't be back till Monday. Kids are back in school, so start time for Monday's live will be 8:30 Pacific, 9:30 Mountain, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. So, love you guys. Have a great weekend. As always, I know you have 1,000 other places you could watch this stuff, and you choose to watch it here with us, and we appreciate you so very, very, very much.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Don't leave, Sleuthie. Stay here.
Why? Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown. Down the rabbit hole. Where it stops, no one